What up, y'all? Mic check, mic check. You guys hear me? Cam check. All I see is rip Victimize. Victimize is not dead. Gosh, y'all. They actually gave some of the buff back. I'm actually looking forward to the new to the bug fix Victimize, and then just them buffing the damage of it, because now our damage isn't so sporadic. So I'm actually happy about that. If anything, Pig with the 3.5 years, same old badge, 42 months. Appreciate you, Pig. Isn't the past your bedtime? Well, I guess it is Friday night, so you must be out. You must be living life out there.
Yo, dog son.
Kill them all waited just for this moment to really get a full.
You know how we do.
Full view dance.
Drop my new beat for these new viewers.
Sheezy out. What up, Kill?
Kilimon 1228 traded my stream with 1 views.
Started out hot. I gotta fix that that AI thing. I don't know why she keeps saying traded instead of rated the stream. I wonder what happened with that. I wonder if it's just like a typo or whatever in the thing. But yeah, so yeah, we're gonna actually spend this stream talking about the patch, because the patch is enormous, man. I said did you did 3-man pip 115. Nice. Were you playing support druid? But we got Cam off life. You got Heartseeker. What's happening? Angelic Cypher. I read your comment, but I had to go back downstairs for a bit. I don't think that there really is anything you can really do with poison traps. That's like a build. Like you can't build around poison traps. I mean, you can have it in any build you want. Like you can slot it anywhere you would like, but you can't like build it. You can't just throw poison traps around and like get maybe the effect he's looking for per se. Flurry sounds OP. I have my thoughts on that, but we will get there when we start looking at the patch notes. Do you guys want to look at the campfire stream again, or you want me to just jump straight into the notes? When does the new season start? It tells you when in the game. I think it's what August 8th or something. August 6th, August 8th, somewhere around that range. Just jump into the juice. I guess we can. I guess we can do that. We can jump into the juice. Now we want to roast marshmallows in the campfire. Okay, that's 1-to-1. We got notes there. I guess I could spend more time like going over what I think about the changes then versus trying to do the campfire and also the changes. But I did obviously look at the changes earlier, so like I did watch the campfire stream earlier too as well. But yeah, we will go over the notes. But I'll probably start at the top in terms of everything that they're doing. So let's get the Windows capture, I think, for Blizzard. I think this does the thing. Yeah, it fits in the window. Okay, we good. Making sure I am live on YouTube. I'm not sure if anybody on YouTube can hear me or if it's happening over there. You want to poll? Those are thoughts. Notes. Cool. All right, so overall W campfire in general, I thought I liked everything that was said. I do think I kind of miss having Colin there though, or Colin. I keep saying Colin. I miss having Colin there. Colin was awesome, but it's okay. It's okay. Other guy did well too. You know, he did all right. I like the change to the offensive recipes now, where it is Worldly Finesse, where we actually have crit damage and vulnerable damage. Now the thing is that with this on a rogue, I think it doesn't really make a difference unless you're running, like, let's say close quarters combat, because if you're doing close quarters combat, well, actually not even that, because you would want crowd control, so you wouldn't even care about this. But like, yeah, I mean, you still 1 out of 4 because our key passes pretty much roll everything on the rogue. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's simpler, but sure. So barb stuff, not interested. Blue Journal stuff, not necessarily interested either. Necromancer stuff, who plays Necromancer? And then here, right, the Shroud unique chest. So Dark Shroud grants immune for 3 seconds, but your evade cooldown is increased by 9 to 3 seconds. Evading while Dark Shroud is active leaves behind an explosion that deals shadow damage and pulls in enemies. Interesting. I wonder how big that pull is. Like, how big of a pull is that? Are we talking about that taunt ring kind of pull, where, like, is it kind of like that, but just with the, like, are they just taking that mechanic and just moving it to a different unique or whatnot? Or are they kind of like designing this to be a little different in terms of how the pull happens? Because I mean, the other one's a taunt, right? So the other one just taunts them and they slowly walk to it. I'm assuming this one's gonna, like, yank them off their feet or whatever, and just got, you know, they get yeeted to the spot, I assume. You said they wanted to put Dark Shroud on the bar. Well, I mean, this doesn't really, like, tell me that you have to have it on the bar. It just said evading while Dark Shroud is active. So while you have shadows, I believe, because it doesn't say evade while Dark Shroud is on cooldown. It's just saying while it's active. So assuming you don't need to have it on the bar still, is my assumption. I say make it yeet from 3 screens away. I think it should probably yeet vampires from season 2. What you think? So we can get some more progress in our pit runs. How are you doing so much damage in the 2 bosses is stagger with Heartseeker? My stats are close, but my damage is a lot lower on a tier 120. Chances are that how much Caltrops duration do you have? Because generally speaking, a lot of my damage on stagger will have to do with how long they set in the Caltrops and my Caltrops duration. So you get the big damage when they've been standing there in the Caltrops for maybe 8 or 9 seconds before the stagger happens, and then they still sit in the Caltrops or whatever. The damage really revs up pretty high, pretty quickly. I won't say fast, but it definitely revs up pretty high. I call it the Vamp Yeeter 5000. Pursuit, what's going on? I see you on the tube. What's happening, man? So I'm interested in this, and there's obviously more notes in the bottom to kind of like go over, but like obviously missing the Dark Shroud. Actually, does anyone have a image of this unique, like what stats are on it from the campfire stream? This, and as well as the other unique or the other legendary thing. Is it a unique or a legendary thing? But this should be kind of interesting considering how powerful the thing is that, like, before I even go any further with this, I'll talk about this now and then I'll go back later. I think all the Dark Shroud stuff is neat. I dislike the idea of us being pigeonholed into Dark Shroud. I think I mentioned that this current season that we ended up like having to, it's either Dark Shroud or bust. And we're still kind of in Dark Shroud or bust because now the Dark Shroud stuff do even more cool, amazing shit now. So it's like, oh, well, you know, you were using Dark Shroud before, but we made it even cooler. So now you want to use it, even though you don't want to use it. But now you have to use it because it's even cooler. And it also is even stronger, right? Well, like I said, I'll get to the changes or whatever, but you'd be crazy to not use Dark Shroud just like this current season. Like you'd be absolutely insane to not use it. He said, I hope you're doing well. How would the double dip fix on damage over time affect Andy's puncture damage? Is it half the damage? No, you just switch the stat. So you know how I take percent damage on the planner or whatever. If you just switch to damage over time, you'll have pretty much the similar output anyway, so you'll be fine. You'll die as a 50% increase victimized damage, good enough compensation? I think so. I think that's fair, honestly. I'm actually looking forward to it, to be honest with you. The Victimize without the bug plus the compensation. It should feel better to play overall, for sure. But yeah, going on. How come the build is switched to daggers now for Heartseeker? All the previous builds with swords. It doesn't matter. I think it's just popular demand. Technically speaking, the daggers will make dash and shadow step feel a little bit more snappier, like teeny bit snappier, but the damage is still the same. But because it's a mid-season patch, I can just make the updates to it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you look in the fact section of the guide, when people are asking, you know, swords versus daggers, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Whichever one rolls better. You won't clear any faster or better or anything switching to daggers. Even in the change log, I think even in the change log, I mentioned. Hold on, I'll find it. Where we at? Let's see, Heartseeker Rogue. Just so therefore I don't open up some other crazy things that you guys are, you know, seeing. So we'll put this here. Here. And push the button here. Here we go. Yeah, so I think in the change log, I can go all the way down to the change log here. Here we go. So planners, daggers instead of swords. If you have GG swords, don't make the switch. It's not worth. And I also talk about swords versus daggers. There's no actual damage difference at all for you. But yeah, it's just that if you had to make a choice, if you had a GG sword versus a GG dagger, and there's the exact same stats, you might as well do dagger just because it'll make your dash and shadow step, you know, feel slightly better. But that's if everything else is equal, which you would never have like, you know, an equal dagger versus an equal sword. Right? So you always take whichever one rolls better. Hi guys in chat, switch from Heartseeker to Andy's. I'm loving it. Andy's is a good build. It's a very good build. Is crit chance important for Heartseeker? Yes. How's recovering going? I actually feel a little better today. I felt a little better today. It's weird because I felt okay 2 days ago, and then I felt kind of like I was regressing yesterday. Like I felt like I was in a bit of pain yesterday, and then today I feel kind of okay-ish. I don't know, man. This recovery is a thing. So you can just use whatever you got better. It can be one sword and one dagger. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's literally the sword or dagger is literally just a stat stick. That's all it is in the Heartseeker setup. What we got here? We got the bruise mobility here using the potion. Grants 35 to 50% movement speed for 3 seconds. Pussy parts. What's going on? And then we got the cops 90210. Bro, it wasn't me. I promise you, it was my twin brother. It was Dashizi. He did it. It was not me, man. I'm telling you. I'm so telling you. But thanks for the 5 get the subs though. But I hope you're not trying to set me up with some illegal subs to take me to jail or anything. I'm just saying. Hope it's legit. Assuming you had a bilateral ingredient or hernia, the worst of all worlds. I actually don't even know if it's a bilateral or not, to be honest with you. I mean, they didn't tell me if it was or was not or whatnot. These changes will be implemented in season 5, right? It means nothing will change until the season end. That is correct. But we will see these changes on Tuesday on the PTR. Said no, so really legit. Okay, all right. Thank you for the sub, sir. That's what I'm gonna do. Thanks for you guys on your Heartseeker build. I can't fit all the abilities in my bar. Do you drop something? Well, you just follow the planner, and the guide. What were you trying to fit on your bar? Sorry, Hamp. I'm offended you called me, yeah. So anyhow, this aspect will not be used. Realistically speaking, we have no reason to use that. We're gonna be capped on movement speed easily all the time anyway, so this aspect will not see use. This resource aspect here, damaging the enemy with the mobility skill has a 15 to 30% chance to fully restore your energy. Kind of a neat aspect. Still don't really see it getting used. If I really want more energy, I'll just use a Starless Skies, to be honest with you. At least on for Rogue's sake. This is a Rogue one too. Yeah, I'll just use Starless Skies. But anyhow, Avian Rain. This is actually kind of neat. Smoke Grenade has a 35 to 50% chance to create an arrow storm where it explodes, dealing physical damage over 3 seconds. So this is neat. The only issue I have with this is that because Smoke Grenade has a pretty lengthy cooldown, and yeah, you can shorten it by doing damage to it with the particular rune or whatever, but you won't be able to cast in enough for a 35 to 50% chance for an arrow storm. You see what I'm saying? And you have to take an additional aspect to use it on an offensive slot, right? So this is rough. This is hard to do. And it's really not even a lucky hit chance. It's just 35 to 50. So you can't increase this. Yeah. The thing about it is that obviously it's good that it's not lucky hit, but the fact that the max you can have is a 50% chance. So every other time you throw a Smoke Grenade, which might be not that often, you get an arrow storm. And the arrow storms isn't that great, even with some of the buffs. It's actually kind of, it's kind of okay-ish, but not enough for me to take this aspect over something that's going to actually buff the arrow storm damage or any of my other damages or whatever. Dash, Concealment, Smoke Grenade, Heartseeker, Shadow Step, Cow Traps. I can't fit it all on your bar. So Dash, Concealment, Smoke Grenade, Heartseeker, Shadow Step. Yeah, you can. That's 6 skills, right? Dash, Concealment, Smoke Grenade, Heartseeker, Shadow Step. Yeah, that's 6. That's 6 skills. You can fit them all in your bar because you have 6 slots. But yeah, so okay, I misread the last part. Dark Shroud. Dark Shroud is procced automatically from Umbrus. So if you look on your chest, it's the Umbrus aspect that procs Dark Shroud for free. So you don't have to have that on your bar. They're really trying to put Arrow Storm into a build. They're trying. They're trying, and we'll keep resisting, in a sense. I won't say resisting, but I mean, it's cool. It's a cool effect. There's just not enough places on our gear to put stuff like that on. We just don't. They're just not allowed things to put these type of, they need to really consolidate some of these aspects if they really want us to use them, right? In order for arrow storms to be decent, I got to run 3 different offensive aspects. How am I going to buff the arrow storm if I'm removing damage that could possibly buff the arrow storms? You see what I'm saying? I feel like it needs to be consolidated a bit more rather than spread across multiple different aspects. Anyhow, Sharpshooter's utility. Caltrops is now a marksman skill that periodically throws 5 to 20 piercing daggers over its duration, each dealing shadow damage and applying vulnerable for 3 seconds. Now, this is actually kind of neat. I'm actually really like, I wonder how far does the daggers travel? Like, are the daggers, do they only travel within the caltrops, or do they extend past the caltrops? I'm actually curious about that. Otherwise, it's gonna be like a kind of like a death trap type thing. If everything is within the trap itself. That's kind of neat though. I mean, that's neat, and it's a utility aspect, so that's actually kind of neat. It gives you an additional way to apply a vulnerable, and since you already use caltrops anyway, I'd be interested to see the kind of damage, like the damage it does. Granted, it's a proc. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like pretty shitty, but Mazga make arrows turn great again. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Heartseeker, I'm doing exploit, ranger, control, pride, fluidity, chip, use ambush over ranger. What's your thoughts? Well, ranger doesn't really buff your damage because it's additive marksman skill damage. So the only reason why you're using ranger is for the damage reduction. That's it. So you either go ranger for the damage reduction, which diminishes is actually better because it gives you 15% versus ranger's 10. Or you go ambush for the damage, for the additional damage. So do you want damage reduction or do you want more damage? Is the question. C-dub. Ranger doesn't do some damage. That's additive damage, sir. That little bit of marksman damage is nothing. I use this example a lot. So if you had $1 million and I gave you $100, is that $100 really worth anything to you if you already have $1 million? That's what you're doing with that marksman damage on ranger, right? I'm not saying you wouldn't still take the $100, but I think you would take, if someone offered you 10% more of what you already have, I'm pretty sure you would take that, which is $100,000 versus the $100. You see what I'm saying? I think that's probably the easiest way for me to explain that, for sure. Yeah, ambush or diminish. Yeah, that's kind of the choice there now. But yeah, I'm actually curious to see what this looks like. I want to actually kind of give it a shot. Don't know if I actually use, but hey, we'll see. But the fact that also it is a marksman skill now actually kind of like makes it so you don't. So, well, I guess you can be using caltrops anyway, but it makes it so there for close quarters combat. I'm assuming this will proc close quarters combat, at least the marksman side of things, right? So you'll be able to do like a pure melee skill or melee build without any sort of marksman skills on your bar. Next week with inflation, it'll be multiplicative. Oh man. Can I give you the link to this? So anyways, cool stuff. Tempering recipe changes. Increase smoke grenade damage. Well, yeah, it does damage now, but we'll get to that. I'm still not gonna ever use that, honestly. Increase smoke grenade size is actually nice. You know how I've been asking about this for a long time. I've been saying like the smoke grenade like size or the visual size is like very, very small. You know, good luck hitting like half a mop with this thing most of the time. But yeah. So that's actually kind of cool. Increased damage for each Dark Shroud shadow. I'm assuming this is still additive damage, so I probably would still not take it unless maybe it's on a slot somewhere where where that damage is like flat damage for like maybe poison builds or something. But what up, J Rockets? Kathy, what's happening? Chat and docs out who is source streamer you want to follow? Well, I mean, Makuna basically does all the meta Sork stuff. But he is very, very, very invested in high tier pit pushing. So if that's your thing, for sure give him a follow. I don't think he really experiments with too much of other Sork stuff. He's very pure meta, but he's very good at what he does. So Makuna is definitely a recommendation. Northwarp, who's our Sork specialist, he streams usually the first 2 weeks of the season and then doesn't stream anymore. Roxy's very good. Fame Regalis, whenever she's playing Sork, she does interesting Sork stuff like that isn't necessarily always meta. Yeah, I think Barricade also plays some Sork sometimes too. And Barricade is just an awesome streamer in general. Smoke grenades is not the size of the grenades that counts. It's the size of the right. Increase. So yeah, I can see this maybe for some flat damage builds that, you know, like poison or maybe elemental surge or close quarters combat related stuff. Increase damage on the next attack after entering stealth. I don't know if this will ever see use unless the damage buff is just massive. Like, you know, increase damage on the next attack after entering stealth by like 700% or something. Now we're talking maybe, but I don't know. I gotta see the values on this. I don't think damage double dips anymore. It won't next patch, no. Well, not next patch, sorry. It won't next season. It still does for the rest of the current season, but it won't in season 5. I think you said this earlier previously, but you do emeralds over rubies. I assume you want to touch more damage. Yeah. I also played glassy, generally speaking. So if I can pull more damage at the expense of just having to play better, I will always choose that option. But it means that I die in like 2 or 3 hits. So it's a very offensive type mindset. But I'm of the mindset of I'd rather play better and deal more damage. But I'm sure that I'm like in the minority of that. People rather feel comfortable and like, you know, laid back farming or whatever. So rubies make way more sense in that aspect. I'm a try hard. So I'd rather just, you know, micro and outplay the content and throw in dex gems and do as much damage as I possibly can. But I've always been that way. That's some World of Warcraft type. Chat, am I crazy? I've been using concealment since I switched to Heartseeker. Feels like enemies are still targeting me while you conceal. Is that a known thing? Yeah, it is. It is. I'm really not the biggest fan of concealment, to be honest with you, on most setups, really. It's not bad. I just personally don't like it. All right, so Rogue persistence. Increase maximum, so more Dark Shroud stuff, right? So increase maximum life percentage gain while Dark Shroud is active. Increase maximum all resistance, maximum and all resistance percentage for 5 seconds from health potions. Potion meta, here we come. Drunk meta, rogue drunk meta. Increase skills of second wind, don't care. Increase skills ranks of aftermath, usually don't care. Sork, who plays that class? Druid, Barbarian. Who are those? What are those? Oh, there's a Necromancer thing. We still go. Oh, Rogue, here we go. Rogue. Look at that. Rogue. Cool. Alright, so first change. Do you think the new Rogue uniques would be cosmetically scandalous? Absolutely, of course. Of course they will be. You gotta get people to come back and play the game. Right? Come back each season. Guess. Although I usually make male rogues, so I guess that doesn't really apply to me per se, but yeah. What I think about the new chess piece for the rogues, I don't know. Well, yeah, I'm gonna test everything rogue for sure. I don't know how, like I don't know how I feel about the chess piece until I actually see the mechanic. Like I want to see the pull. I think it'll be neat. But given that we actually have some new aspects too as well, it'd be kind of hard to fit in. But I'm quite curious to see, like, just to see what the pull is. Like, because I mean that would be like really good for something like pin shot for sure. Especially pin shot and things that have like, you know, other things that have low AoE or short AoE. I think that'd be really good for that. But we'll kind of see. We'll see with that. Maximum arrow storms increased from 5 to 7. Pushing the arrow storms agenda here. Who's lobbying? Who's lobbying for arrow storms here in chat, guys? Who's paying Blizzard off for arrow storm buffs? Who's doing it? Who's over there? It's like, bro. Would I mind giving you a too long didn't read on how damage works? I'm assuming additive is bad because you add 156% to your 1,560% additive damage. It's only 10%, but you get an aspect that gives you times 20. Yes. So yeah, you got it right, Junior. You got it right. Like that's exactly right. No one cares about Aerostorm. Actually, people do care about Aerostorm. It looks really cool, but I mean, there are other stuff that I would like to see, you know, happen, right? Get changed or buffed with, right? So like Voodoo Joe, is it Voodoo Joe? Is Voodoo Joe in their pockets? He's like, yo, bro, I will give you 10% of this stream's profit if you bust some arrow storms. You know what I'm saying? You know, let me just slip that, you know, 1 day's worth of streams profit in your pocket, sir. Kathy with the sub, appreciate you. Doc said I guess beat 125 Heartseeker. Nice. Feels good. Feels good. Saw you in Woody's chat. What do you think of some of his takes? We'll go over those probably towards the end. I want to try to get through this because there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, I agree with most of the things he says. I think me and him kind of like are on a similar wavelength with some things. That might be not what the average person would like to hear. Like for instance, I'll give you 2 examples. Dark Shroud, like all the crazy buffs that Dark Shroud got is super, is neat, it's awesome, right? But it also kind of pushes us into a very Dark Shroud meta, which we were already in. Like it's a Dark Shroud of bust. You either use Dark Shroud or you're gonna die, and it's still kind of the same way in season 5, but now it gives you even more damage buffs. So, or not damage buff, but it also gives you even more utility stuff. So it's like it's a very we're kind of stuck in that, like you have to use it, and I don't like being forced into anything that you have to use, right? It's not a choice. It's just there. Is it what turn a Dark Shroud I would like to see? Just more damage reduction in general. Like having more damage reduction, better damage reduction in our skill tree passives and stuff like that overall would help us be able to get out of Dark Shroud, or the, you know, pigeonholing into Dark Shroud. 2, another thing I agree with Woody Joe into as well is the whole cow traps thing. I think the idea that, like, you know, don't get me wrong, we're buffing couches, we're giving cool couch trap stuff, but I think we're kind of back into, if you really want to do massive damage, you got to throw your cow trap out there. And given the way that it works mechanically with the jump back, some people just don't like it, but you're kind of forced into it if you want to clear further, right? And not only that, but it kind of forces you to kind of play a bit close because you want to keep everything into the cow trap. So you're kind of pigeonholing holding like a pretty like a specific style of play. But that's for later though. We'll talk more into that. But I do think I'm not upset about the buffs, but what I am saying is that there should be other alternatives outside of Dark Shroud for damage reduction that will work without feeling like, you know, hey, you just stepped on the town portal and you die. Or like, you know, you hopped on your horse and like your horse like, you know, maybe galloped too fast and you died because you didn't have Dark Shroud up. You know what I'm saying? Like it shouldn't feel that way on the road. But that's just my thought. But I do think that the stuff that did to start the Dark Shroud is cool. So don't get me wrong, I think it's cool. Just with that chest piece, you gain immunity for 3 seconds as well. That's a hardcore player's wet dream. I can see that for sure. Yes. So yeah, I guess I was blown away that Dark Shroud got even better. It was already like mandatory. But anyways, Blaze Shift. So damage increased by 50%. Let's go, Shank Rogue. Shank Rogue got a buff. We're gonna be stabbing. We're gonna be stabbing better. We're gonna be stabbing with more damage, bro. Shank Rogue. Telling you. So anyhow, also this little change here that makes you unhindered instead of you know, moving freely to keep your movement speed is actually kind of nice too as well. Especially if you're continuously to stab, you can kind of go through quicker, which is actually a pretty nice change. Fundamental Blade Shift. I don't really care about this because, you know, Daze Temper, so who cares? And Concussive Strikes, of course. Control Impairing Effect Duration Reduction increased from 20 to 30%. That's actually quite nice since you are in the fray all the time, so I'll take that. Invigorated Strike, damage increased by 20%. No one's gonna care. This is the inferior Shank. This is the superior Shank, because you shank a lot faster than with this Shank. So this Shank is gonna always, I don't say always, but you're gonna more so feel like you're doing something when you got Blade Shift versus Invigorating Strike. I think it just needs a new identity at the moment. Maybe it'll come in the expansion or something. Is that a basic skill? Yeah, it is a basic skill. That's maybe a silly question, but I can't figure it out. On your build, you don't show points into Shadow Step. That's because I have, like on my build, I'm wearing the Shaco, and the Shaco gives you +4 ranks to all skills. So that means you don't have to put points into Shadow Step or Dash if you don't want to, but you do want the enhanced dance for the 15% crit damage. But if you don't dash through things often, you don't have to do that. But yeah, for Shadow Step, I don't really use it that often, so it's just like a free skill on the bar that I don't have to put any points into. This season, range meta. Next season, melee meta. I mean, when we say range meta, I don't think rogues are playing at range this season though. Like, let's be honest. Like, Heartseeker is range like Heartseeker is a range skill. But like for like, let's say higher pick content and stuff like that, and the fact that you got to run in and use cow traps and stuff like that, you're pretty much basically playing close. Rapid Fire is also played close. Barrage is obviously close. Pin Shot, I mean, pretty much you're close. So like, yeah, we've never really had a range meta. We just had range skills and melee range, like in melee, like we've had close range meta, I guess, but we never had like a, you know, true range meta and like a WoW. Rogue with Dashart be like, light breeze hits your rogue and you die. Sun comes up and you died. Leaf blows off tree, brushes you, and you die. I think you'll die before the leaf actually brushes you, to be honest with you. Just because the wind that blew pretty much like cut your skin and your rogue died. I think the leaf would just be a nice touch to your tombstone, honestly. They're gonna be fun range rogue builds next season. I don't know, man. like true range rogue builds, probably not. If I had to like look at what I'm seeing right now, like true range rogue builds, everything's gonna be close range. So you're either playing like on top of the mobs, or you're gonna be like somewhere in the vicinity of close range ish. We'll see though. We'll see. I'm trying to keep the archetype alive, but we'll see. Casting the cast twice tempers for only some skills is really lame because it forces you in certain skills. I hate the fact that Blaze Shift doesn't have a temper, or doesn't have an effective temper. Same thing with invigorating strikes and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. I'm not thinking about testing any melee rogues like TB or Andorra's Puncture. You mean for like the PTR? I want to try to do everything in the PTR if I can. Try to. New range rogue would be Arrow Storms. You're proc that up close. Oh, for this season? Probably Andoria's probably, maybe. Anyhow, we got the enhanced twisting blades return damage increase from 30 to 35%. Don't even know why they even did this. They might as well not even bother with that. Let's be honest. They could have let that out the patch notes and we would have never known that happened. Shadow Step, increased damage here. I guess cool. Enhanced Shadow Step gets a change. It applies it dazes and applies vulnerable to them for 3 seconds. So we're getting more application or more vulnerable applications from Caltraps and now this. Neat. We now have Methodical Shadow Step. You gain 20% damage reduction for 3 seconds. Wait a minute. So, okay, no, we're good. Okay, yeah. All right, so that's actually kind of cool. Oftentimes, more often than not, I end up shadow stepping into my Doom all the time. Like I typically don't choose the best target to shadow step to when I'm engaging sometimes, and it usually ends up me dying. So this actually might help a person like me that is just a very aggressive shadow stepper without, looking both ways, before crossing the street, shadow stepper. So like this would actually be like pretty beneficial for a player like myself. But bro, I'm telling you, man, I shadow step with no thought. Like I will sit there and shadow step to Thanos if I could. I mean, I'm just very bad idea, but it's just like, you know what? we're just gonna YOLO, man. We're gonna YOLO. Oh man, is Doombringer valuable for Heartseeker? I mean, valuable is an interesting word. Doombringer is a very defensive unique. So if you want to be super tough, you can use Doombringer, but you do lose a lot of damage. So it's a trade-off. Do you value toughness more, or do you value damage? Right. So, with that being said, that would tell you what is valuable for yourself, if that makes sense. Did I get a chance to listen to those two songs? Not yet. I saw them in the Discord, but not yet. There's been a lot of talks in the Maxroll Discord with all the changes and stuff, so I kind of got a little busy earlier. Shadow Step, Trap, Grenade equals GG damage. Hopefully we'll get the Shadow Step build up and rolling for next season. But that's why I had to stop using Shadow Step. I was crazy reckless with it. Nah, I'm gonna still do it, man. I'm still gonna YOLO. I'll just learn at some point. One day I'll just learn. I will learn to shadow step responsibly at some point. Flurry folks eating good. Somewhat. We'll get to that in a second. I I say somewhat. I think the buffs are good, but I think we kind of forget how far down Flurry actually is in the totem pole. So we'll get to that in a sec though. Damaging an enemy with Shadow Step stuns them for 2 seconds and reduces his cooldown by 3. I'll probably end up still taking this one over the damage reduction one, even though the responsible Dioxide should take this because I Shadow Step recklessly, but you know I'm going to take this, so let's be honest. Good change. I'm going to learn a Shadow Step benefit. So I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. I am not the only one. All right, so we got dash. We got a damage increase in dash. Maybe some sort of cool dash Helltide farming thing you can do, or a Nightmare Dungeon farming thing you can do. I think it's still actually a possibility to do that if you want. Now, actually, I don't think anyone's really bothered to try, but you can. Additional functionality: dash lets enemies hit by 30% for 3 seconds. So they basically baked it into the to dash, which is good. Now we get dash increases your critical strike chance by 10% for 5 seconds. So we get a free 10% critical strike chance buff for just dashing. I'll take it. And it's also just the passive that you're going to take anyways when you go down to the other passive. So free 10% crit chance buff, it looks like. Now we got the whole, at the end of dash, knock down surrounding enemies for 2 seconds and deal 350% of its damage to them. All right, so yeah, they're trying to make a dash build. Who's lobbying for dash builds, guys? Who's doing it? Who's doing it? Who in the chat? Who in the chat is lobbying to Blizzard? Who's shoving 20s in their pockets? Who's doing it? Why the preference for flat damage versus dot on the rings and daggers in the Andy build? Damage. The flat damage is basically double dipping right now on poison related things or dot related skills. So that's why it won't work next season. So just obviously know that I'll be doing damage over time on the Andy stuff and versus the percent damage. So chronic, is it chronic? We're going to go get chronics. We're going to go get them. Yeah, lobby for better things, sir. Put your money in their pocket for better stuff. Sleeping Glass, are you there? Chronics together, the Diablo 6 over uniques, yes. Bull Rizzle, what's happening, man? Let's hear about the 50 new uniques scare you a bit as a build guide creator? No, because that's 50 uniques across all the classes. So like you got to think that maybe each class is getting like 4 uniques, maybe 4 or 5 uniques, and then maybe some uber uniques too. They might introduce. So like, not really. No, not. Now if it's like 50 new uniques per class, you know, different story. But nah. Did they really take away our trick attack knockdown? They did. That may make that shadow copy aspect worthwhile. No, because it's still the shadow. Actually, it might. Actually, that might, like the one specifically for dash might. You're right. It actually might. When will the unique bows ever be useful? I guess we'll see in the PTR. Honestly. We'll see in the PTR. I hope they are, but we'll just see what they actually did to them stat wise, and if they can roll specific tempers or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what they do. I convinced Wizard just hates Windforce after seeing these fashion notes. Yo, they removed the lucky hit part of it though. That's a W. It's the only W, but that's a W. That's a W. You know. They at least listen to Windforce. Oh no, but yeah, Decoy, it is pretty sad. Sag. Anyhow, let's go for it. Landing a GA core skills, Grasp of Shadow, any thought? No, not worth. It's not worth it over a tempered glove for sure. Who is it? Sleeping Glass, are you there still? I want to make sure I answer your question, but I know you said you were in ads. Devs never found a win force in D2 and they're still salty about it. Forever punishing win force. How do you think they would give buff imbuement apply by duration, not count per hit? It's if they give buff duration apply by duration, not count per hit. I kind of like the count, John, to be honest with you. If Windforce can roll double barrage, it might be okay. Well, right now, the problem is that, so here's the problem. Retribution still double dips. Like the aspect still double dips, and you want that on the two-hander. And so as long as that still double dips, no unique bows are safe. Period. So until they fix the double dipping of Retribution aspect, we're never, like, it doesn't matter what you do to any of the bow uniques. You're never going to use them next season. The natties, what's going on? So on Andy's build, Maxroll says % damage on weapons. Zarya uses dot. Can you place Bane for you? It's practically the same thing. % damage basically double dips. So it's actually a higher value than what it's a considerably higher value than what it looks like on paper. So I mean, either way works. Either way is fine. But the thing is that % damage is getting, or the double dip is getting fixed next season. So next season will definitely be damage over time on the planners. But for now, the % damage does really well because it double dips. But I don't think it really matters which route you go. How we know it's getting fixed? Because the patch notes said it. Like this, you see what we're reading right now. This whole like big old patch notes thing. They actually is in the patch notes. Same thing with Victimize is also in the patch notes. Super ginormous patch notes, yeah. Darkside, why the remove a caltrap size in the Heartseeker build? Duration is just better overall, honestly. Like most of the time you use caltraps is when you're doing like the higher speed runs in pit, and you're gonna be pretty close anyways. Like the caltrap size is nice, don't get me wrong, but you can still do what you need to do without the extra size. Honestly, the duration just makes killing the boss a lot easier. That's all. Yeah, but that's the case, Natty. But yeah, if you do % damage or damage over time, it honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, but you do have to change it or gear for it differently next season because obviously % damage is getting fixed or whatever. Wooded Joe prefers the % damage over the damage over time. Shadow Step, dash builds for the win. Maybe Shadow Step, maybe not dash. But Shadow Step, probably. Personal opinion so far. I'm gonna try to go through. Keep going before I get my overall. Where was I? Oh yeah. Okay, so methodical dash. Now dash has 1 additional charge, and its charge cooldown is reduced by 2. I love this. My thing is that yeah. No, actually, never mind. Yeah, so yeah, I love this. I mean, this is like 3 charges of dash and a cooldown reduction. Like, bruh. Like, why would I never not take this? For mobility, that is, right? All right, so now we're to the flurry. Now we are to the hype of the patch notes, right? The hype. I'm holding you personally accountable for getting Victimize fixed. Yes. Considering that it also got a 50% buff now that they fixed it, right? It's gonna feel better actually. All right, so let's talk about Flurry. We got the lucky hit running with the sub. Appreciate you. Yeah, so lucky hit chance buff, right? For Flurry, which is nice. I'm assuming they probably had to with all the lucky hit stuff that they're wanting to happen on Flurry. So good for them. Cool. Now enhanced Flurry. Each time Flurry damages the enemy, it has a 10% chance to apply vulnerable for 3 seconds. Cool. And deals 1% increased damage for 5 seconds after hitting a vulnerable enemy. Up to a total of 50%. So we have a stacking effect here, right, happening with Flurry. So interestingly enough, for speed farming, you're really not gonna you're not gonna really see this much of a buff in the speed farming scenario, but you will on like elite packs, maybe, depending on how high your speed farming of the pits is. You'll definitely feel on a boss. Like boss, which is obviously where Flurry lacks a lot, right? Single target is where Flurry obviously lacks. So this is a pretty nice stacking buff for boss, and it's also free. It's baked in. It's in enhanced Flurry, so it's on the way to one of these two. So it's a free stacking buff that you just get on the way, which is nice. You do lose the healing, but they give it back to you in a different way. Advanced Flurry, successive cast of Flurry increases its damage by 15% and reduces its energy cost by 10% up to 3 times. All right, so they want you, so here, with this being said, and also the stacking buff, they're wanting you to play an Inner Sight or a Preparation Flurry build. They don't really want you doing too much of combo points, or they're trying to get you to spam Flurry. With these two changes, obviously they're wanting you to spam it. So look for Inner Sight-ish, Preparation-ish type Flurry stuff, maybe. Shred Flurry. Well, so going forward, because I know we got the improved Flurry, right? And this is the hype one, right? Or one of the hype things, right? Casting Flurry dashes you to the target and heals 10% of your maximum life. So this will be very good for like Helltide farming and Nightmare Dungeon farming and whatnot. Very good for that, right? So super neat, right? Because you just teleport around with Flurry. So this is going to be fun as hell to play. Concerns is that like this right here is so much damage to give up though. Like that's 45% damage to kind of give up on a skill that already doesn't really do that much damage as it is. So like I can see this in open world stuff, right? Like you would never, I don't see this in like let's just say current pit farming in a sense. But Helltide farming, absolutely. Nightmare Dungeon farming, absolutely. Like any open world stuff, leveling for sure. Like leveling with this is gonna be freaking amazing. Like so good. So I do think that this is cool, but it is a hard choice between the two because this is quite a bit of damage. This is just a teleport, a fun teleport, but you're losing, let's say, what was previously somewhat of a damage buff to teleport, right? Quality of life versus damage per se. Is it be a McFlurry Rogue in season 5? So with that being said, my thoughts on Flurry is this. I know there's an aspect, but we'll talk about that later. Like an aspect that also goes with Flurry. I think it's kind of, okay, given the value of it versus other aspects that you may want to take. But the stock of Flurry here, if I had to give it a guesstimate, like this probably pushed Flurry from maybe F plus tier to like maybe a solid B tier. Because keep in mind that the biggest change that we are getting is probably this stacking buff per se. This here is only just it's only a little bit of a damage buff compared to what we had with the previous buff here, right? Same thing with this here if you took this instead. So while this is nice, the 45% is nice, you also have to remember you had at least 30% or 20% previously, right? And then you also have this stacking buff, which is 50%. Once you get to the full stacks. So like we're basically buffing Flurry's damage by what? Almost like not quite sure, not quite double. But we also have to remember how far behind Flurry was to begin with compared to some of the other stuff. So like when I was looking at like Woody's chat earlier, also like the Twitch stream about Flurry S tier. No. I don't see it. I do not see it at all. Would it be way more fun to play? Absolutely. Would it be like it's just that what this is that Flurry is no longer bad, but Flurry is kind of like where Twisting Blaze is currently. Like, where is like you remember all the Twisting Blaze buffs that Twisting Blaze got this past mid-season patch. It's kind of like that, but with Flurry. Just the Flurry stuff is just more fancy and probably a little better in terms of the damage buff. But remember, Flurry was underneath Twisting Blaze. Like Flurry wasn't as good as Twisting Blaze even before the Twisting Blaze buff. So this is just I think this is a step in the right direction, but like stuff like this would need to be like 100%. This would need to be all the way to 100%. And I don't know, just maybe a base buff to Flurry more, man. It's rough, but yeah, you heard it here first on the stream. Honestly, I think B tier. If I had to rate it against all the other Rogue builds, I think a solid B tier, maybe B plus, maybe. It's kind of where this puts Flurry, which is a huge jump from F. Okay, it's a huge jump from F plus, but it ain't going from F plus to S tier. That's not happening with this. Don't see that. However, it is PTR, so these numbers could definitely go up or whatnot. But I will play this though. I will play this in the PTR. This is probably one of the first builds I do plan on making. It's because it is kind of the new hotness in a sense. But I don't expect any like crazy output. Because the numbers just don't show that. But at least it's a step in the right direction though. I'm happy they're experimenting with the stacking effect. And also like the teleporting thing is actually super, super cool. So I think it's a good starting point. That's probably gonna be the thing with that. So not trying to burst anyone's bubble who might have thought this might be a S tier. That's not that. And with the current numbers right now, that's not S tier. That would not be S tier, but it would definitely be better than what it was. So think Twisting Blades. Like the jump Twisting Blaze kind of sort of made last patch or this, the mid-season patch. It'd be like that in a sense. I'm happy they're looking into it. Yeah, me too. Adam Jackson playing Flurry this season, played a part. I'm sure. I think also Adam Jackson playing Rogue probably had him understand how freaking squishy Rogues are. Without Dark Shroud or whatever, and then he just gave Dark Shroud a bunch of shit to play with. Like Rogue is gonna go from being like a pretty like difficult class to play up close to being fairly easy. With the new buffs to Dark Shroud, which we're about to get to in a second. Anyhow, Caltrap's damage increased by 13%. Okay, we'll take it. Discipline Traps chance bonus increased from 5 to 10%. So I assume does the vulnerable damage or hitting a vulnerable target increases to 20%, or is it still 10%? Or 15%? Like, how does that work? Flurry try to play without damage reduction? No, of course, absolutely. I know. I was playing Blaze Shift, which requires to be even closer than Flurry does. I know it's rough out there. It really is. I guess wish damage reduction would be, we got more damage reduction stuff versus just making Dark Shroud better. Damage reduction. Not saying I dislike this. Just saying You know, just maybe, you know, I might want to do a setup where I don't run Umbrus and I don't run Dark Shroud and still be able to survive. That just does not exist right now. Anyhow, Dark Shroud. Rogue got barrier now. Let's see. You only lose one Dark Shroud shadow every 1.5 seconds. So that's a massive buff. And that's an L for my Blade Shift build though. My Shank Rogue, that is an L for my Shank Rogue because I was relying on that for the volatile explosions, like the volatile aspect or whatever. I was relying on that. So I want the shadows to go away quickly so I can use that aspect to blow up shit. Now I can't use that aspect. So that's an L for my Shank Rogue. The only person that would ever say that in the world is like, oh man, that's an L for that one build I play, right? The only person in the world that probably say that. But outside of that, this is a massive buff. Like what? Like, geez, I don't think people know how big of a buff this really is. Like this is like barb levels. You don't die buff. Like I could sit there and go to the store, come back, and I'm still alive. Type buffs. Here we go. What I feel like was gonna be the best rogues builds going since the next patch. We'll talk about it after I go through the changes. I'll kind of go over where I think builds kind of would sit or what would happen to the current builds we got. I got you covered, J Rockets. You can use the new unique for Shank. I mean, I guess, yeah, I guess. But it was so cool, man. The Dark Shroud stuff was so cool, though. Like the volatile stuff was so cool. I found something that was super fun to play, and that was ruined. That aspect was ruined. The one use that aspect had is now ruined. It's never gonna like ever see use ever again outside of the one niche that I did. You'll never see it again. And they buffed it. They buffed the aspect, right? They buffed it, and yeah. Anyways, we're moving on. I'll cry later. I will cry later. All right. So enhanced Dark Shroud. Each shadow now grants you 5% movement speed. Wait, is that a buff? I mean, obviously this passive. I mean, I know they're baking it into enhanced Dark Shroud, but before it was 4%, right? Okay, yeah, it was 4%. Okay, so they're giving you an extra movement speed and they're baking it into this, right? All right. It also has a 15% chance to not be consumed. They buffed that by 1% for whatever reason. Sure. Just a better Dark Shroud, right? Subverting Dark Shroud. You heal for 10% of your maximum life when a Dark Shroud is removed. Also pretty insane. Pretty insane. That's insane. Then we got, you only need one active shadow to get the critical strike chance instead of 2. Also pretty big. Critical strike chance increased from 8 to 10%. Also pretty big. Yeah. So I mean, we just massively buffed the thing that we already had to use regardless. The mandatory skill just got massive buffs to it. I mean, I'll take it. Not gonna complain, but it's gonna be I think Blizzard's gonna have a very hard time going into the expansion, winging us off of Dark Shroud. Like we're gonna be so addicted to Dark Shroud that like rogues are gonna all need therapy going into into the expansion. Cause like how do you wing us off of Dark Shroud? Like how do you wing us off of it? Like there's just after the stuff like this, how do you wing us off of it? Wish me luck. I'm about to go for your +8 Dark Shroud Masterwork. Good luck, bro. Jago. There's literally one skill that every single rogue build uses. Blizzard. We should probably buff that. Yeah. Isn't that what happened to Barbs this season? Like mid-season? Like, oh, all the sorts are using Shatter. We should totally buff that. Flay, totally need a buff. Yeah, sounds about right. Sounds about right. I hate to complain, but I'm just, I'm looking at it from like a overall perspective and not just being like, not in a selfish way where it's like, oh, I benefit from this. Obviously I benefit and everyone does, but man, like I would like to see more options, I guess. Anyhow, smoke grenade, additional functionality. It actually deals damage now. Woohoo! And it has a lucky hit chance. Cool. And the skill ranks now gives increased damage and cooldown reduction. Dope. All right. And enhanced smoke grenade. Now, enemies hit by smoke grenade takes 25% increased damage for you from 5 seconds. Enemies affected by smoke grenade take 25% damage from. Wait, did they do this so therefore like this can now work on bosses now? Because now the wording is different, right? Enemies hit by smoke grenade versus enemies affected, because you can't affect a boss with smoke grenade, but you can hit it with smoke grenade. So now the smoke grenade actually work on bosses? If so, that's a massive W for smoke grenade. Massive W for smoke grenade. Take the 1% buff and like it, mister. So you're assuming that, um, so yeah, that's a buff. I always use most smoke grenade anyways. So like no matter what build I play, I always have smoke grenade in there. Pretty big buff there. Now we got countering smoke grenade. Hitting a boss elite or a boss with smoke grenade reduces cooldown by 5 seconds. Versus the lucky hit chance reduces cooldown by 1 second or 3 seconds instead of the enemy is vulnerable. I actually kind of like this though, like the previous, because there were times where I can like, if I hit a target so many times that has smoke grenade on it, like I can almost instantly reset smoke grenade and throw it again. Whereas now I only just get a cooldown reduction, a pretty nice cooldown reduction, but still a cooldown reduction nonetheless. Like I can't chain smoke grenade now. So I actually honestly see this more as a nerf to most builds that I've played. Sorry, I actually see this more as a nerf than like a buff. Now, I guess a boss, this will probably be a buff because you can't, because of the whole like thing now, this whole whatever. So I think versus bosses, this is a buff. But like against like packs and like trash or whatever like that, at least whatever like that, this is actually a nerf. AJ's like, I keep yelling, I keep yeeting them at them when they're staggered. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, yeah. It's very few people know that. It's just one of those things where it's like you're testing mechanics, and you know, it's just shit you learn, man. Shit you learn. All right. Poison imbuement. But let me actually get up and walk around and take like a small break because I really need to get it. I really need to walk around. Still in recovery, so give me a few minutes. I'll be right back. We'll continue with poison imbuement. All right, we back. Believe it or not, I am out of rawhide. That's actually pretty impressive, to be honest with you. All right, poison imbuement. Poison imbuement. Duration increased from 5 to 6 seconds. All right, buff there. Now, casting poison imbuement generates 30 energy. Increased by 2 for each nearby poison enemy. So definitely looking like they're catering to the spam poison builds, like the things with like bursting venoms and that kind of stuff, as you see here. So like stacking poison, things that can stack poison relatively easy. So this will actually help things like poison barrage builds for sure. That would get pretty nice stonks out of that. Poison trap, damage increased by 36%. Okay. I mean, poison trap damage over the course of its duration actually isn't that bad compared to some of the other things, like other proc damage or whatnot. It's actually not too terrible. This ain't gonna help it that much, but I mean, I guess it's neat. Subverting poison trap, damage bonus increase, poison damage increase from 10 to 15%. Nice, actually. And then countering poison trap, chance to reset imbuements increase from 30 to 40%. We don't care about this anymore, pretty much, because tempers. So honestly, I think they should just rework this. Honestly, because tempers pretty much basically just well, I say messed that up, but you know, made this kind of like worthless. Can't wait to play the precision counters. Look out, I'm 0.009% towards you playing another class. Harrison, then what's going on, man? Penetrating shot. This one's pretty interesting though. So now they baked in the increased damage per enemy appearances. They actually baked that into the skill itself, which is nice. It should have been that way anyways, but you know, it is what it is. Now casting penetrating shot and hitting the boss or an elite with it has a 25% chance to fire an additional shot for free. So basically, this is a 25% buff to an elite or a boss. Basically, it's what this is. So penetrating shot now deals 25% more damage versus a boss or an elite. So it's Blizzard's way of being able to say, yeah, okay, penetrating shot, and I guess Flurry with the stacking buff, right? Just needs a little bit more single target damage, and this is kind of their way of doing that. So I'm not mad at it. I'm wondering though, like I guess that free shot, can that free shot also be a double pin shot if you have the temper? Yeah, Mr. Pimp, me and you have the same idea. We literally have the same thought. So I wonder if the additional shot is considered a proc, or is it just like an actual pin shot again that the temper can also make double, right? Because if not though, like if it doesn't do that, then this is actually not as good of a buff as it seems. But I guess we will see, you know, on the PTR, right? Rain of arrows, casting speed has increased by 30%. W. Lucky hit chance increasing 2 to 4%. Sure. And cooldown reduced from 55 to 50 seconds. Bro, they really need to just drop this like a lot. Like experiment with just throw it down to like 40 seconds or so, or something, man. Like, I'm just saying. Like, let us make a true Renovario build, even if it's not like amazing. You said you assume it will be. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Eagle Horn will have the extra cast of pin shot too. Man, Eagle Horn, right? But anyways, they're trying. They're trying with Renovaros. They really are. Passives, concussive, renamed to unstable elixirs. Using a healing potion stuns surrounding enemies for 2 seconds and increases your damage by 6% for 5 seconds. I assume at rank 3 that is what, 18% damage? By just popping your health potions? I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't like this change. Obviously, I'm not gonna sit there and say I don't like free damage buff by literally just popping a potion. But the idea of you're, you know, having to consistently cast potions just for a damage buff, it's just kind of weird. I do like the stunning the enemies portion of it. But this right here is gonna cause people to like start macroing health potion spams or whatever just to get damage buffs. And like it just feels really weird. It just feels really weird for like a passive. To me. Considering that it's a 5-second buff, right? I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm gonna use it. And be crazy not to use this. But I don't know. I'm not crazy about the implementation of this per se. Yeah. Oprah works at Blizzard now. What up, Robert? Is it Temerity for the win? It would be nice with Temerity, yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Rapid Gambits, what we got? Evade through enemy dazes them for 2 seconds. Your evade cooldown is reduced by 0.25 seconds when you daze an enemy. So that's kind of crazy to me. Crazy good. Like crazy good. Like every time you evade, you daze. Like, I mean, that's actually kind of nuts. Not kind of nuts, but it is really nuts. Be great for like that crossbow puncture rapid fire stuff where you're evading all the time up close. But yep, very good. I mean, obviously gonna take this. Trick attacks. Dazing or stunning an enemy increases your critical strike chance by 2% and critical strike damage by 2% for 5 seconds, both up to 12%. So basically just literally just crowd controlling an enemy, which is what we're doing anyways for free with our tempers and stuff. Or in this case, just evading through a target. Gets us pretty hefty damage. But I mean, obviously this, you know, the crit damage is gonna be multiplicative. It's a passive. And we just get free critical strike chance up to 12. So like what's rank 3? Like 36%? Like ain't no way this can be 36%. Like is 12 the max value or something? Because like would 3 ranks be 36%? That would be nuts. Like even if you're not playing a precision build, would you even need crit chance on your gear? With some of the buffs to crit chance, like throughout passives and, and, uh, 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 and, Because like 3 points into this, 36% crit chance is a lot. 36% crit damage multiplicative is also a lot. Okay. Sure. I guess. Very big buff there on that. And Pettis, new functionality added in visuals to show when the effect is ready. Thank God. That's actually kind of cool. It was really weird looking at the little buff bar to kind of see whether it was up or not. After moving 15 meters, your next core skill, ultimate attack, deals 8% increased damage. So they buffed it a little bit from 7%. While the damage bonus remains, your agility and subterfuge skills deal 4% increased damage. Okay, so basically, when the buff is ready, when the effect is ready, your agility and subterfuge skills deal 4% increased damage. Okay, so they give you it's kind of like a dual buff in a sense, where like part of your kit's buff when it's not in use, and then the other part of your kit is buff when it is in use. Trick attack passive on amulets, that'll feel good, dude. I think it might end up being like, and it'll end up being like one of the better passes to take on an amulet, like godlike on an amulet. Better start farming for some trick attacks amulets now for PTR for testing. Think the 12% scales? I assume so. I mean, it could be the crit chance or the critical strike damage scales instead. I guess I just would assume that the 12% would be the one that scales. You might be right though. It could be, 2% to 3% to 4%. Trick attacks is a temper currently. That's also very true. That's also very true. Yeah, you can sit there and like buff the hell out of some trick attacks, man. If you didn't already have it, you won't have it on PTR. You said they already copied your characters to PTR. I mean, we don't know if it's like D3 though, where we can recopy our character, or in a sense. Said like they might have done an initial copy, but what's stopping it from allowing us to recopy our most current character? Which might be right though. It might just be one copy. Who knows? I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, crit chance for days, y'all. Crit chance for days. Malice, 4% increased damage to vulnerable or knocked down enemies. Okay. Let's see. This now deals poison damage, increases your attack speed and lucky hit chance by 1% per 8 seconds, up to 5. I assume that this scales, part scales, right? So yeah, this is more of a stacking effect now. So like, I guess they just changed the. Okay, so now they gave us the developer's note, right? Maximum stack potential increases by 5% with each skill rank. They made sure that they made that clear on this. Okay, so I guess like this makes it better on like a single target, right? Like a boss or whatever versus this, but it's kind of it's the same way to kind of get the same thing, but just in a different and roundabout way. I do prefer this over the old though, for sure. Eight ranks, is 40% lucky hit chance and 40% cap 2 attacks. Very true, actually. To be quite interesting for like, let's say Andarios, right? Andy's rogues or whatever. This would be this is very interesting. There's a lucky hit chance in the task before TTB poison builds. Yeah, true. And Andy on Victimize and Victimize if you fit in poison. We'll have to see about that though. That might be a little more rough there. So for you, Druids and Rogues, huge winners in this patch notes. Rogues got a lot of stuff. A lot of things here. Second Wind. Every 100 energy you spend grants 15% of your maximum life as barrier for 3 seconds. That's I would say that's probably better than the previous. I mean, the lucky hit chance is actually kind of nice. But this I guess is just more so for defense. But I actually kind of like this though. That change, even though I probably would almost never use it still, I still kind of like that change. Andy's deal poison damage, should that work for chemical advantage? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking this would be really crazy for that. Like real crazy for that. But I wonder, like, does this work on ticks, or does this work like as direct damage? Like, am I dealing direct poison damage? So like, let's say if I'm doing like rapid fire, for instance, like rapid fire poison or whatever like that. So that would be direct damage. So every arrow would increase this, I would assume. But ticks won't. I don't know if like the tick actually counts as dealing poison damage. So that's actually kind of an interesting thing, right? Poison does not equal poisoning. Yeah, that's correct. You're right, Pisha. Yeah, you're right. That is correct. Yeah. So actually this would be good on like a boss fight. Like Andy's with pestilent points or whatever, like puncture with pestilent points, because you're dealing poison damage every third hit and you're attacking quickly. But it'll take a while for you to get to like max stacks or whatever. Like let's say if you put like alchemical advantage on the amulet, then you spend more time stacking. So like for a boss, this would be great. For things that aren't using like, you know, multiple hit poison imbuement stuff. Should the buff last 8 seconds? Well, I mean, it does, but I'm thinking like when you're fighting against elites or whatever, like trash or elites, you're never gonna like stack this up high enough to matter, but you will against a boss. This would be a great against bosses for like those kind of builds. Biggest comment, what's going on, man? At the moment, I'm just going over some patch notes. But if that's 8 seconds, you're going to stack it up and maintain it. That is a good point. I actually didn't think about that. You're right. That is true. Yeah, you will be able to maintain it, or should be able to maintain it as you're going through. Yeah, you're right. I guess you just have to refresh it when you get to the next patch. That is a very good point. Bloodmaster, what's going on? World boss 1 minute. What's going on, Walker? All right, what we got? Aftermath. While the ultimate skill is on your action bar, you heal for 0.5% maximum life every second. After using the ultimate, restore 25 energy. Why can't we just keep? Why did they go from 30 energy to 25 energy? Why not just restore? Why not just keep the 30? Like, what harm is it gonna do if we kept the 30 energy? But what I do like actually is the whole while the ultimate skill is on your action bar, you heal every second. That's actually kind of neat. Yeah, that's actually neat. So it's like one of those things where like, hey, guess what? I'm gonna take Shadow Clone now, right? And people's like, oh, why you got Shadow Clone in your build? Oh, not to use it. It's just for the heal. I just want to heal good. that's all. That's the only reason why I'm taking it. I just want to heal good, man. I'm not gonna actually use Shadow Clone. Like who does that? It's just to heal good, sir. That is all we're doing. Oh man. But seriously though, like I mean that actually might be a thing. Like for instance, like I'm not really the biggest fan of like let's say let's say I'm doing Heartseeker, right? I'm not really the biggest fan of like concealment, and poison trap is pretty neat but not necessary. Especially now with all the extra crit chance that we have now. So I'd probably drop poison trap on my personal thing. I can legit just throw an ultimate skill in there and just have healing. Right? Just literally it's just there just so therefore I can have a heal. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? Which is actually kind of neat to do for like builds like that. Whereas like that 6 slot can be anything. So that might be something I might do. You say you don't think I'll take this? I mean, I'd probably do this over like let's say, I mean, I would I don't know. I mean, that's like an easy way for me to heal. I don't have to worry about undying or siphoning strikes or whatever. Because I have a passive heal instead. But I guess it just depends. Like if you really like using concealment and like speed farming or speed runs or whatever, then this wouldn't have any use for you. But I mean, I think it's just kind of neat though. Like it's neat that this is a thing. Like this is a possibility. Now if they made ultimates better, this would be even cooler. But we're still at the whole idea of ultimates actually being useful type. Weapon mastery, dagger damage. Dagger damage to help the enemies increase from 5 to 6%. Okay. I don't think anyone really too much cares about that. Victimize. The thing I've been hearing about in my Discord a lot. The explosion damage of the Victimize has been increased by 50% to compensate for a bug fix detailed below. So of course the bug fix is they fixed the double dipping, right? But they also increased Victimize by roughly 50% to compensate the bug fix. So what does this actually really mean? It means that like Victimize Pinshot and Victimize Heartseeker are not dead. It wouldn't have been dead even if this wasn't a thing. Like even if they didn't compensate us, right? It wouldn't be dead, but it would be like it would drop down to like maybe low A tier, high B tier or something like that. High B tier, low A tier, maybe low A tier, just depending on everything else. But now that they are compensating a little bit of that damage or whatever, like we're looking at probably high A tier to low S tier, possibly. Like it won't be as good as like let's say Andes or Rapid Fire, but it will be like right underneath both of those, meaning it will still be a very powerful build. But I think Rapid Fire and Andes definitely gets a little bit more value out of this patch, and obviously no nerfs to it. So you said still higher than grenades. Well, yeah, pretty much. You said how do I interpret that 50%? No, well, so I'm going based off of what we thought the nerf would be, or like when you remove the Victimize buff, right? Like the Victimize buff itself, or the double dipping itself. Like we pretty much theorycraft that it would obviously drop our damage 3x for the most part. So like most of us claims, okay, well that's about like a 10 tier nerf, like like the top end or whatever. So right now it's been people are saying, or some of you the highest pushers are saying that like Heartseeker can supposed to be like the peak DPS drop is more like 5. It's actually 3x. It is 3x. We have the math on the the mechanics section on our guides. It's giving us it gives us a 3x buff. All the double dipping. But yeah, so like if Heartseeker was doing a 150 before, like at peak right now, which is what people are saying, like Heartseeker's maximum peak potential right now for pit pushing, if you try super hard with like trillion gold worth of gear, like trillions of gold worth of gear, then you're looking at like 150, like probably like being the top. So you drop that by about 10 tiers. And rapid fire being about what, 145 roughly. Andy's maybe 142, 143, roughly around that range right now. Then you're dropping Heartseeker to about 140. And then you basically give Heartseeker a roughly 50% buff. So you're looking at, again, 142, 150, like 142, 143 for Heartseeker, which puts it around the range of where I was saying. And if the other builds are considered S tier still, let's just say for comparison, it's still considered S tier, then Heartseeker will still be around that threshold. It won't be at the top anymore. It'll be at the bottom of the best builds. It won't be at the top of the best builds anymore. They kept all Paragon nodes, yes. But I assume it exploit amulet. Well, there were so many good passes on the amulet though. Like you don't have to go exploit. There's also other passes that are really good. Keep in mind, Frigid Finesse is also very good, right? Frigid Finesse is very good. As okay. So Peaches said wait. But yeah. So yeah, amulet with exploit malice frigid all GAs. But yeah. But we also have some other good key passes now too as well. You need a loan for that? Yes, you but I mean, even if you drop that, even if you drop like exploit or mouse whatnot, you're still looking at a couple of tiers. So that still kind of puts it within the realm of the like below, but within the realm of the other builds. Like it's not gonna go like it won't drop any lower than maybe A tier at the lowest, like mid A tier, high A tier, and that's just depending on like how some of the other interactions work. Because who knows, coming into the PTR, there'll be other bugs and things that we're gonna find, and we're gonna be like, oh yeah, well, so much for this tier list. Unfortunately, Shadow Imbuement is not getting much love. Hope they would buff something or something, especially on bosses. It's hard to buff Shadow Imbuement without making it too good, because Shadow Imbuement in general on like low damage packs or like low health enemies is still goated. Like Shadow Imbuement is still like the best clearing imbuement by far. On like speed farming, like we're talking about like Helltide, we're talking about like Nightmare Dawn, like it's still like the best at like clearing out like super large packs or whatever. So you got to be careful with making it too good in higher pit levels or whatnot, because you start to make the other imbuements obsolete if Shadow Imbuement was dealing more damage. You see what I'm saying? Like it's a tough balance to kind of have. I would love to see Shadow Imbuement get a little bit more love, but I understand why they kind of left it alone, because it can get out of control, where almost like back in like what preseason and season 1, where Shadow Imbuement was just king because content just wasn't that hard. So you will always use Shadow Imbuement on everything because content just wasn't hard. So Shadow Imbuement rolled at the time. Like it just wasn't like a lot of health or whatever. It makes it do something when it comes to bossing. It does. I mean, mixed Shadow Imbuement does. It gives you 12% non-elemental multiplier. So that's also pretty good. Don't forget they fixed using anti-venom beside elixir, so 15% less life. That is true. Shadow Shotgun build for the win. Oh, it's season 1. Yeah. All right, you back, Wilson? But yeah, we were accounting for all that, Wilson. Everything you said, we were accounting for all that because I mean, Caltrap's duration will still be there. And if they fix the Caltrap duration thing or they don't make it scale with damage, then I mean, every build is affected by that, not just Heartseeker, right? So like, yeah. So, but I am actually pretty excited about this, more so because now the damage is more consistent. It won't be as sporadic where you're dealing like, you know, such crazy damage before or you dealt no damage. It was like such a big difference between the two when all your double dipping multipliers kind of happen in a sense. So there'll be the gap between the min and max will be a lot closer. And then of course the baseline has been buffed a little bit, whatnot. Like I said, it won't be as good as it was before, but it's not dead. Heartseeker's not dead. Heartseeker's not dead at all. Now the question, Wilson, too, is you're right. That I'm assuming that 50% is to the base. Assuming that the 50% is to the base. That's what the assumption is right now. Although could be wrong, but it just wouldn't make any sense to not do that. Woody Joe said napkin math that it's like 30% from now in terms of damage on Victimize. Is that about right? I actually think it's a little more than that. I think it's a little bit more than 30% nerf, but I think it's like a little bit more than that. But let's just say, let's just get like hypothetically, right? Like hypothetically, hypothetically, if Woody Joe's right, then like 30% is what? Like a couple of tiers. Like we're talking about like that's like an aspect. Like you know how like you forgot to wear an aspect or something, and like you felt something was off, but like it wasn't that, like it was enough for you to go through the pit tier, right? Like you're going through the pit and you're like, huh, like something's a little off here. Like it's like normally this should be like a tad, like a little faster than this, but like you're not bricked and your character's doing fine, but you're just like, wait a minute, I thought my numbers were just like a little bit higher than you know was before. Like that's a 30% nerf. Like that's what 30% nerf feels like. So if that's all it is, and if Woody's correct on that, then Heartseeker's fine. Like Heartseeker's, and also Pin Shot, because also that's Victimized too. Like they're both fine. Darkshot is really good. Darkshot's OP. Darkshot is broken right now. In my opinion, I think it's way too good. But I'm going, you know, obviously we're all gonna abuse the shit out of it. But it's way too good. The defense part of it. I think all the like cool niche stuff that they did to it is fine. But like the whole can't lose shadows more than once every 1.5 seconds, like that makes it just giga, just like ridiculously too good. Seeing how they talk about uniques, including double cast, I don't see a Heartseeker being used after the season. Well, I mean, you could just use that with the unique, right? Well, I'm gonna say, well, I guess you wouldn't do it with no, actually you wouldn't do it with any of the uniques really. But like most of the builds right now on Rogue don't really care or use the uniques. Like what would you use for Andes in terms of a bow unique, right? You wouldn't. What would you do for pin shot? You wouldn't. What would you do for rapid fire? Maybe Skyhunter if it's good enough, maybe. So I mean, I don't think Heartseeker as a build is gonna die if other builds use uniques in the 2-hand slots. Like that won't happen. Rogue would be barb level tanky, pretty much. Immortal logging. If they increase the base by 50% and with the new changes to pin shot might be better than before. Well, pin shot gets a 25% buff, right? I mean, 25% buff to elites and bosses, basically, is what that is. So, and pin shot was already pretty good. So I'll be happy to kind of see that. You wouldn't now, but they said they want 2 to 4 uniques per class to be used together, so we just have to wait and see. Yeah, I'm gonna wait and see on that one, Dominicano. Like I'm gonna wait and see on that. No, just because that's what they want doesn't mean that they're going to succeed. they're going to succeed in that. We'll see in the PTR though. We'll see if things like Combination Dagger will make its way back, or some other stuff will make its way back. Fanny's Rogue and then ring slot. If I have ring with GA on damage, dex, and dot, is it worth using? As long as your other ring, well, it depends on the attack speed breakpoint you're at. If you can reach your breakpoint still, AJ, with the other ring, and I guess you might still have Moonrise. I'm not sure what breakpoint you are at. Then the answer is yes. That PTR will be fun. I plan on blasting PTR all week, that entire week. Lots of stuff we're gonna be doing. And have I made an Andy's Rogue yet? Nah, not yet. You love these changes every season. New build variants is good instead of every season of same old stuff. I mean, we'll kind of see what shakes up, but honestly, I don't really think much is gonna really shake up in the Rogue hierarchy at the moment. I think we'll still be playing some of the same builds, just with cooler effects. But at the same time, though, Rogue has had like several good builds, so it's not like that's a bad thing per se. But like, don't expect Flurry to be above the typical Flurry, like the typical 4 right now. Is my Shank Rogue just straight up better now? Oh yeah. Shank Rogue got some stock coming up. I'm excited about that too. %25% attack is the base you need. For that cap, yes. But yeah, Shank Rogue did get some stock on that Blaze Shift. Blaze Shift plus Barrage plus Grenades, new meta. I think Heartseeker was still work. Oh yeah. Even if they didn't compensate Heartseeker would at the very latest, or the very worst, would be like a high B tier build. Low A tier, high B tier, without the compensation. So like Heartseeker wouldn't die per se. Like it wouldn't be a top build, but it wouldn't be a bad build either. Without the compensation. The 50%, depending on how they do the 50%, is the question. If they do it to the base, Heartseeker is fine. If they do it to like the 50% to the like just additional 50% to the 23%, then it will hurt a bit more, but like quite a bit more. But we'll see what they do. We'll see on the PTR. Like I will play some Heartseeker on the PTR, just like everything else. Next week I got on Heartseeker first build. So I played in Diablo. That was super fun. I don't get bored of it. Awesome, man. Glad you're enjoying it. But yeah. Anyhow, I did spend a lot of time talking about this one thing, but yes. The change will make Victimize feel better. Your damage being considerably less spiky. It does take a damage hit, but the compensation actually does help a little bit to soften the blow of that. But it also means that Pen Shot Victimize and Heartseeker Victimize are not dead, and will probably still be really good builds going into the PTR. But most likely still being overtaken by Andes and Rapid Fire just a little, just a little bit at the high end. That is. Speed farming, I think Andes will still be king. Or actually, well, Piff speed farming, I think Andes will still be king. Flurry would be the best for like Helltide farm. Helltide farming, Nightmare Dungeon farming, like lower level pit farming maybe if you can one shot or 2 or 3 shot things with Flurry. If you can build it strong enough, actually might be. But then you're doing it at a lower pit tier, so I don't know. We'll kind of see. What was Victimize double dipping into? Several different things. Play, what's up? Appreciate the gift the sub. Thank you. How are you doing? But yeah, we have a whole list of things. Control glyph. What was it? Control glyph, pride, exploit, deadly ambush with cow traps. Malice, exploit glyph, sorry, not exploit glyph, control. Did I say control glyph? Yeah, it's several different things. It was double dipping in. So all of those will be, the double dip will be removed from those things. You'll still use all of them, but you just won't get the double dip. Flurry poison probably would deal pretty good damage. It'll be decent. It'll be good. I mean, if you want to play a poison build though, you'll probably still play Andes though. Like Andes will still be straight up better. In every way. The flurry buffs are not enough to like take the crown from like an Andario's poison setup. Yeah, but Andy's on its own doesn't cash dash. Yeah, but that's the problem though. Keep in mind that if you take dash, I think that's the thing that people aren't thinking about. So think about right now. Play Flurry right now, but imagine that you had dash, that you can dash from your Flurry, but you play it right now. But maybe 20% stronger. People still wouldn't play Flurry in most cases. You see what I'm saying? Like, because keep in mind, this stack buff is actually, or this buff here, that this 45% buff is actually nice, but you can't have this and a dash. So like, in all reality, all you're really getting is this 50% stack buff when you used to have a 30% thing. So you're actually not gaining that much damage if you go this route at all. Like you're gaining a little bit, and that's it. Which means that you gain this instead. Sorry. So while the dash is nice, don't get me wrong, but you're giving up a significant multiplier on a skill that already has low base damage. And like I said, for Helltide and stuff, that's great. Low pit levels, that's great. But just don't expect Flurry to be like, you dash around and stuff, that'd be fun. But like, you're not gonna do the damage of, let's say, actually any of the other builds still. Honestly. Dash is gonna be used on Flurry as utility builds. Yeah, well, yeah, see, that can, yeah, you can do that. like that's actually a very smart thing to do. Yeah. So yeah. But anyways, yeah. Flurry gets an enabler for prep rain of arrows. Could be it. For could be like a shred, like a mobility skill. Yeah, I can see that too. I can see that too. But yeah, just don't expect some like A tier or S tier build coming out of Flurry in terms of just like raw damage, whether that's poison or anything. It's just not enough there. But I think what they did to Flurry is actually really cool. Like mechanically, what they're trying with Flurry is actually really cool. But those numbers need to go up if they're looking at people playing Flurry in a serious light, serious light. Be an S tier, yeah. It wouldn't even be A tier. I'd be surprised if it ends up in B tier, like middle of B tier, maybe low B tier. But there's such hype around it, and I get it, but man, one caveat. Let's see what they do with the uniques and new tempers. That's fair. That's a good point. That is fair. Because we don't know. Yeah, you're right. All right, let's talk about momentum. Casting the cutthroat skill gains a stack of momentum. Casting a non-cutthroat skill removes a stack of momentum. For each stack, you gain 3% damage reduction, 3% maximum energy, 3% energy regen, and 3% movement speed up to 30%. All right. They also gave an aspect that actually now makes you know, gives you damage with this too. So we'll talk about that later. But this is kind of neat. I don't dislike this at all. The 3% maximum energy is kind of an interesting thing because, like, let's say you want to do like a one-shot build or whatever, right? And when you know, like a one-shot rogue or whatever, that 30% maximum energy actually helps in that niche case scenario. Because you know, obviously now, of course, you would lose one stack of momentum, I guess, for casting a rapid fire or a pin shot or whatever for the shot. But and then the only thing about it is that all you have to do is cast it. You don't even have to hit an enemy with it. You just cast it, so you can literally just spam the air to get your maximum energy or whatever. And then you know, do your beast fall boots, whatever one shot rogue changes you want to do, and whatnot. I believe in poison flurry dash. That could be fun. Black Race, we should have followed. Said no damage to momentum. I don't understand what they're doing. Why more DR? Are going to be tanks for Rays and then Vessel of Hatred? I don't know. They did give us an aspect to make momentum, you know, or to give you damage while you have momentum stacks. So there is that, but I can't answer the other question. I have no idea. Air Eater 2024. All right, so and Shroud an aspect now using a healing potion grant makes a free dark shroud shadow. Each shadow grants the same damage reduction increase as before. Not that you have any room to take this anywhere, and nor do you need to take this. Honestly, like, do you really need to take this? Given like the buffs to Dark Shroud, like Dark Shroud now, like do we even really need to take this? Like, we don't have room to fit this anyway. Maybe hardcore. I mean, yes. I think I'm taking this over Umbrus with the Dark Shroud unique. You know, I guess you could. You could. You could do this instead of Umbrus. Um, I mean, you'd be spamming the hell out of that potion though. You'll be spamming the hell out of that potion to make it happen. But sure. I mean, it is more damage reduction technically than Umbrus would provide you, obviously. So I mean, I guess that it is a route. 3 seconds of immunity, immune 4 pos equals seconds. Where you need 55% cooldown reduction. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So I guess what I would say is I wouldn't see this in conjunction with Umbrus, but you can definitely take this without Umbrus. That's actually kind of interesting to think about. It's one of those things where like it would have been neat to see this like in season 3 and season 4 when melee builds couldn't proc on like Umbrus to have something like this before. You'll obviously miss or mess with some things. Oh yeah, yeah. We totally plan on the PTR being a pretty big train wreck in terms of bugs. I think that is if you want to run the chest here, right, Wilson? Like if that's your goal is to run the chest, yeah. I can agree. But I guess at the same time though, with this too as well, if you can get enough Dark Shroud cooldown reduction, you can also do this too as well. Instead of Umbrus, and just kind of just do have Umbrus on your bar. Not Umbrus, sorry, Umbrus. And have Dark Shroud on your bar. Do the chest is best in slot, in your opinion? That would be insane. That's what people said about the Scoundrel's Leather when that was first introduced. I'm still kind of like neutral about it. I need to see how big that pool is for one. Or how that pool actually worked. Because you know Blizzard, there's gonna be some sort of internal, some sort of ICD that's gonna happen. That's gonna prevent from like being able to massively pull all the time. Like, so who's this? I think this is the Berkeley Latin Ensemble. So Berkeley School of Music Latin Ensemble. Where's that thing again? I missed it here. Reading the things here. But yeah, yeah, I mean, you don't really care about the shadow damage because obviously that's not going to really do much damage here. But the pull is what you really care about. This here, being immune, or like that, I think this will obviously be better for hardcore. But the fact that Dark Shroud can only lose one shadow 1.5 seconds means that you're already like way tankier than before. So this doesn't become a necessity. So I think for a lot of players, the biggest thing would be the pull. How constant can we do it, and what's the range of that? I'll bet my house on that chest having insane ranks to Dark Shroud. Well, that might be a different story then. If it's getting that'd be a different story. But I guess the thing is that we're already super, like we're already tankier now, and like I guess like I said, it just depends on whether or not this has an ICD or not. Because this very same story was told about Scoundrel's Leathers when it first came out, with all the traps being able to proc all the time, and having like death trap everywhere and cow traps everywhere and poison trap everywhere, and we all know how that turned out. with some sort of like, you know, hidden ICDs in there that they didn't tell us about. And part of me feels like this pulls in any enemy things is gonna have some sort of ICD as well. Could be wrong, but I just don't don't trust until I test. But I think it'll be a good chest though. It'd be nice to kind of have something else different in that chest lab, but I'm still skeptical until tests. Because I remember everyone was saying Scoundrel's Leathers was gonna be OP. And not a single person uses it right now. Where am I at? But I want to be surprisingly, like, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. I want it to be as good as it sounds. I do. Is it intended or not that you don't have music on your YouTube stream? You can't on YouTube because YouTube is way more finicky about live streaming with music versus Twitch. But Twitch, as long as you don't save it on the VOD, they're fine with it. YouTube, you can't even live stream it, otherwise you get your channel striked. So on YouTube, you have to not play music on stream. So the Twitch gets my music, YouTube doesn't, unfortunately. Is there any rogue build I have to make when I hit 100? No. Nope. You can make it the moment that you have your Andariel's Helm. I use them as a dish rag. You say I'm a believer. I wish I had the Optimism Wilson. I wish I did. And I hope it turns out great. The chests on CD, on evade, whatever you use boot with attack, reduce, put on evade. But everyone's using it anyways. There's not a single rogue that doesn't use that implicit on boots. So that's kind of already a given when we're thinking about the chests. You think Wind Force will start finally be useful? Honestly, honestly, it just depends on what they do with the uniques. I'm not holding my breath though, but I mean we'll have to see what the changes they do to uniques in terms of the actual stats and the amount of the stat and whatever random like projectile tempers that can roll on that Wind Force or whatever. It could be pretty neat for Barrage. I'm not holding my breath. Again, I'm being a little pessimistic here. I don't see it. I honestly don't see it, but I really don't see it. But we'll see. All right, Arrow Storms, because this is where we left off, right? Your marksman cutthroat skills have up to 25% chance to create an arrow storm at the enemy's location. Blah. So basically from 30 to 40% to 45 to 60%. And they did the same thing with Vengeful Arrow Storms here. So more Arrow Storm stocks. I still don't see it. I still don't see this being enough. Even with the 5 for, with the 7 cast being able to have 7 cast out. I still don't see it. Even with the smoke grenade casting arrow storms, I still don't see it. But yeah, they're gonna keep trying though. Damage bonus to Shadow Step increase from 2.5 to 10 to from 2.5 to 10 to 4.5 to 12. Sure. I really want to see some really cool Shadow Step stuff come out. Unfortunately, I was disappointed that Shadow Step didn't amount to much of anything this season. Even though the theory craft was there, the actual live play just didn't live up to the hype, unfortunately. Did they say they're looking at giving chance to cast twice on weapons, right? They're looking at giving like certain tempers to be able to possibly roll on the unique itself. So like you won't have to temper it. Like a temper may just happen to roll on it. I think that's what they were saying. So we'll see what that really means and the amount and all that stuff. So we'll see what it actually ends up being. They said they thought they'll always be on some unique weapons. I don't know about. I don't think it will always. I don't know. I don't know if it will always be on it and have a random chance to roll a certain, like a different temper or something. I don't know. Who knows? I really don't know how they are planning on doing that, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. We'll have to see what the value of the unique is, like the actual stats itself, like how much are they going to give. I see caltrops. Smoke grenade receives stun grenade benefits, and throws stun grenades that deal physical damage and stun damage for 1 second. Your stun grenades deal 25 to 40% increased damage. So, grenade enjoyers, Pisha. You'll be surprised what momentum key passive with the changes of stolen gear. Still stolen vigor aspect. Oh yeah, I saw it. I saw it earlier. Noxus Ice, they just gave it a small DPS boost. Helpful for poison builds. And of course, Andes, of course. Person Venoms gets a damage buff. Okay. Volatile Shadows, which is actually one of the GOAT aspects I use in my Blaze Shift. Or Shank Rogue, sorry. Got this explosion damage increased by 50%, which would be nice, but now since Dark Shroud can't disappear more than 1.5 or once every second and a half, it kind of does, kind of kills my my setup a little bit. Nah, man, it actually hurts my setup because before my Dark Shroud shadows were like they were disappearing fast, which is what made all the super cool explosions you saw yesterday. But now that they only can go away every one, they can only like get removed once per 1.5 seconds. That actually kills this particular aspect. Even though they buffed the damage of it, I was able to throw so many explosions. Did they kill Rogue by fixing Heartseeker? Victimize? No, they did not. They did not. Heartseeker and Fisheye are not dead. Victimized. Both of those are not dead. But yeah, super sad about this, by the way. Because this would be great for Shank Rogue from my stuff. You said really why? Well, because they also compensated they also compensated the Victimize with the 50% buff as well, which was stated in the patch notes. So where is it at? How far up is it? It's a long scroll up. You thought it didn't matter? Is it 50% incoming damage that big? Depends on whether they add it to the base or not. If they add it to the base, then Woody Joe mapped it out. It's about a 30% nerf if you include that base. So you're looking at basically, so what that means, Skank Hunter, if Woody Joe's assumption is correct, that it's a 30% nerf, run Heartseeker right now and remove one aspect, like remove like one, like I don't know, Edge Masters. Remove Edge Masters aspect and then do a run, or remove Edge Masters and concussive aspects, like and do a run, and then that's kind of what Heartseeker would feel like raw damage wise. Now it would be different because obviously you still got the big damage difference between the top and the bottom, whereas the fix will actually make your damage way more consistent, which will feel better, but you'll get an idea of what it would perform if you just remove one good aspect. So it's not dead. It's far from dead, meaning you'll still see Heartseeker builds next season. Like Heartseeker will still be better than Twisting Blades and Flurry, Pen Shot, maybe. Strong maybe. but it'll be like right underneath, and it'll also still be better than Barrage, but it'll be probably underneath Andy's Rogue and Rapid Fire, like right below those two. So, so no, yeah, far from dead, Skink. Let me go back to where I was. That was a big scroll. Oh, whoops. Where was I at? Oh yeah. So Stolen Vigor, yeah. So while at maximum stacks of the momentum key passive, your cutthroat skills deal 20 to 35% increased damage, and you become unstoppable for 3 seconds every 8 seconds. So that's pretty cool. Like this, actually, this with like to boss will is actually would be kind of neat. Because technically speaking, you can have perma to boss will up. So I don't know if you would need, I mean, it'd be kind of hard to fit that unique in there, maybe alongside of Stolen Vigor. But getting a damage boost from having a momentum passive, key passive, means you can actually get rid of like some other defensive things elsewhere. Like, you know, maybe you don't need might, or maybe you don't need some of the other things, because momentum is a really good key passive for defense or whatever. And also, you're unstoppable for 3 seconds every 8 seconds. That's actually quite nice. I mean, this isn't the Stolen Vigor on 2 hands sounds not that bad. Is Stolen Vigor like, that's a utility aspect now, or is it an offensive aspect? Like you wouldn't be able to. Yeah, I think it's either a utility or a defensive aspect, one of the two. Defense. Okay, defense. Yeah, defense. Yeah, so I mean, I guess you can know. Yeah, you could throw us in the amulet, I guess. Yeah, like this would actually be pretty good for on like an amulet. By the way, I guess you really wouldn't even be able to do anything on a 2-hander as long as Retribution is still bugged. Apparently, Retribution is still double dips, and there's no bug fix in the on the bug list. So I'm a little concerned about that, because that basically makes any attempt at any unique bow stuff for the PTR obsolete as long as Retribution still double dips, which I think is silly. But yeah. MA, what's going on? Thanks for the breakdown. Always look to you for Rogue Guidance Days, dude. Thanks for the sub, man. Energy every 8 seconds for free as well. Yeah. So I'm actually kind of interesting to see how this plus to boss will work, to give you something or whatever. You lose knockdown though, so you can't double dip. Oh, because trick attacks, right? Is that why you're saying that? Well, I mean, at that point, you can just go poison trap then, right? Oh yeah, you can just go poison trap. The passive can still knock down, which is still kind of big. Or you can actually run, if you're doing combo points, you can just run Force for Arrow. That actually gives you a reason to run Force in there. Force for Arrow if you want to take advantage of the double dip. I know it's silly, but I mean, or also pin shot, right? Doesn't that pin shot still knock down on elites with the full energy? So we still have a couple of ways to knock down. They're not free like they used to be, but it's still there. Yeah. I don't know. I'll be right back. An hour has passed. I need to get up and walk around. Be right back. You need to knock down and stun at the same time. You need to have both of them up to be able to get the double dip or whatnot. So like I think both need to be active at once. Or both of them, yeah, both of them be active. It's much like the double dipping with Victimize and stuff. Like it just needs to be active at the same time. Yeah, it's not an either or. Like if they're both active on the mob, it gives you an additional another 30% or whatever of that, you know. And so on the two-hander, that's another 60%. So you're getting a 60% multiplier on top of another 60% multiplier that doesn't add together. It's just two separate 60% multipliers, which is what makes Retribution so freaking strong right now on like a two-hander. Yeah, it's insane. It's stupid. And they need to fix that. I'll be right back. Okay. So bro's walking? Yeah. I need to like once an hour. For the Heartseeker build on Rogue, daggers are better than swords. If yes, can you explain why? Let's go to the Heartseeker build itself. I'm gonna look at the planner. Let's go to the mechanics part of it. Let's see. Swords versus dagger. What's the deal? There is none in terms of damage. Both have implicit stats that equate to less than 1% of your overall damage when you're geared out. What daggers are good for is making Shadow Step and Dash feel slightly more fluid due to the daggers having a slightly higher base attack speed. Whichever one-hander weapon rolls better is the one that you go for. So if you already have really good swords, there's no reason to change the daggers at all. In fact, I have swords right now because I don't have good daggers, and I have no reason to try to change your search for daggers because I won't clear faster, hit harder, any of that stuff. But if I had a choice, if I had a perfect dagger versus a perfect sword, I'd probably just take the dagger for the quicker animations on the two skills. Yeah. Also, these sword transmogs are actually really, really cool looking too. Not gonna lie. Data, what's going on? All right, so where we are, double dagger druids. Okay. Wilson Jr. says still double dips on bosses. Heard that buffing barbs to be able to dual will sorcerers. They're buffing barbs to be able to dual will sorcerers. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. I mean, why not? Quick animations for what? Dash and Shadow Step. It's like slightly. I mean, the animations are slightly faster. With daggers for those two skills. Not enough for you to make a change or, spend millions of gold trying to get a dagger to do that, but yeah. All right, so what we got next here? We are to the unique items now. Now casting a core skill, blah blah blah. All that's the same. Your stun grenades gain 5% lucky hit chance. So they basically reverted the nerf because it was 5% the first time, and then they nerfed it to 2% for whatever god awful strange reason, and now they're putting it back to 5%. So thank God they actually did this. Not that I would use this anyway, but thanks for actually doing it. I don't actually. Peach is in chat, YouTube, right? Would you consider ever using this ring now? Considering that's back. What's going on, man? But to cash out your resources, crush out your resources for the dagger series. Nindo's going on. Appreciate the follow. Okay, so Wind Force. Ranks of concussive change to ranks of malice. That is a good change. That's a good change. Vulnerable damage change to dexterity. Also a good change. Barrage has a 30 to 40% chance to knock back or knock down enemies with each hit. Well, there's your knockdown. There's your knockdown, Riptide. There it is. Wind Force actually might have a use. We just throw Retribution on the amulet, right? And now we have a knockdown with Wind Force. I'm just joking, by the way. But yeah. It'd be kind of funny because I mean, it technically would work. Technically, right? If Retribution was still double dipping. But anyways, so the cool thing is that they removed the lucky hit chance of this. Right, so they removed the lucky hit chance, which is a great thing. We've been asking them to do it forever. But they made a barrage item to knock back, which is what I don't understand. Like barrage is used, like barrage, especially when you're fighting, I guess, an elite or whatever. Like the whole point is for you to zip in and shotgun the elites that are left that are still standing. So why would I want to knock them back? It's my question. If anything, this could have been a rapid fire you need. I mean, I guess we got the Scoundrel's Kiss or whatever, so whatever. But anyways, yeah, like Barrage. Barrage isn't what I mean, Pinch Shot would be something I would consider one to knock back with, but Barrage, no. Seems like the worst core skill to kind of want to knock back with. So I don't know. I'm not. I don't know what they were going with this, making the Barrage thing, but I mean, I guess we'll find out on the PTR. I mean, I'll try it. Any difference in animations when you have a mix of dagger and sword? No. It's all the same, Michael. Why is it Barrage specific? Hell if I know. It used to be all skills. Now it's just Barrage. Scoundrel's Kiss. Radius, explosion radius increased by an additional 10%. No complaining there. Visual effect for the physical damage has been improved to be more consistent. Cool. So I guess for rapid fire gets a small buff to the AoE. Have been the trickery, decoy, trap damage increased by 8%. All right. Still not gonna use. What do you think the best build for Rogue is? I mean, I don't know. If I had to put stocks on it, I probably would say Andes. For next season, Andes followed closely by Rapid Fire. Followed somewhat closely by Heartseeker. So like those would probably be the top three. Pinch Shot would be pretty close behind those. But this is without seeing any of the new temper percentages or recipes or unique changes or whatever. So if I had to just go based off of patch notes, that's kind of what I would have there. The Flurry changes look pretty good. It definitely makes Flurry better. Mechanically, some really cool things going on with Flurry. I like the stack buff or whatever. It's not strong enough to be a build on its own yet still. Like if you try to build like just Flurry, you're looking at Flurry being around B tier. But in terms of like a speed farmer, like Helltide or Nightmare Dungeons or whatnot, I think it'd be one of the fastest speed farmers in the game. Honestly, like an AoE shred basically is what that is for like Helltide. Also really, really, really good for leveling. Like Jesus Christ, it's gonna be like a fantastic build for leveling. It's still not in that category for like a top build, rogue build. Doesn't really. It's not in that category yet. Still. Can you temper unique items? No. It'll be cool though. Like Flurry would be pretty cool. I guess a matter of them like fixing numbers or like buffing and like adjusting numbers. Hopefully after the PTR. You had thoughts on double dipping change pin somewhere? I hate to ask the same question you asked. You probably gotten a zillion times. So the Victimize bug or the Victimize double dipping will be fixed in PTR next patch or whatever. But they also are supposed to be giving us 50% more damage to the Victimize key passive. So they compensated the bug fix with a little bit of a buff to Victimize. It won't bring it back to the same level, but it will feel better. Like it'll feel overall better because the damage is no longer sporadic. Because keep in mind the top end and the bottom end of your damage when you were double dipping it was so drastic. You either dealt a ton of damage or you dealt very little damage. So without the double dipping, your damage is going to feel a lot more consistent. And then when they buff Victimize, by I guess 50% is what they said, then it's going to feel good and consistent. But the top end is going to be lower because obviously you're not double dipping anymore. So it'll still be really good. Like Heartseeker will still be a really good build. Just obviously it won't be as strong as it was, but kind of funny though, because in season 5 with some of the new changes, I mean, I think Heartseeker may not lose much in terms of like its top tier push stuff, because there are other multipliers we can kind of get now that we couldn't get before, like tricks of the trade and whatnot. So there are other ways we can buff our damage to be almost as strong as what we were in this season. So I mean, I don't. Heartseeker will still be good. I'll put it that way. But relative to other rogue builds, it'll probably be like number 3 instead of number 1, but a close number 3. Yes, rogue build for bossing. Well, one shot rapid fire rogue is technically the best, but it only does bosses. But you can do regular rapid fire, you can do regular Heartseeker, you can do Andes, and all 3 of them are really good for bossing. They're thinking about rolling a temper on them, yeah. Like with it, like, you know, coming with the temper per se. All right, so where am I? Word of Hakan. Your Rain of Arrows is always imbued with all imbuements at once and receives your Arrow Storm benefits. That's kind of neat, actually, because you can get a lot of Arrow Storm benefits. So, and plus any possible Rain of Arrow tempers or whatever. There is that. Depending on what you run with it, like if you do close quarters combat versus precision Rain of Arrows, I'm not sure which one would be better. But I mean, Rain of Arrows actually might be kind of okay with this, especially with some of the ultimate damage nodes that they've changed or whatever, like those kind of things. Actually, might make this kind of okay. Now the hard part is obviously making a build out of this will still not be great, but at least I think it might come back on Maxroll as an actual build again. Because it might be worth actually your time building into if you don't care about the meta stuff as a fun thing. But that's pretty big for Rain of Arrows. But you lose your amulet slot. So, but then again, like I said, they might put tempers on stuff too, right? Or some things can roll tempers. So I guess we'll have to see how big of a buff they do to stats and stuff on the Word of Hakan before I'm like saying, yeah, sure, we can probably do something like this again. This is a big one. Tricks of the Trade. Now your marksman skills grant your cutthroat skills 25% increased damage for 8 seconds. And then the reverse is true. Cutthroat to marksman skills. This means that basically every build should be using Tricks of the Trade now. Because now all you gotta do is either Shadow Step or Dash, or Cow Trap for with the aspect or whatever if you're using the Cutthroat skill. I mean, for 8 seconds, like that's such a big that's such a long time to have it up that there's almost no reason to not take it for legit almost every single rogue build. It's a free 25% increased damage node. So builds that weren't using it before would definitely be using it now. I sure as hell will. On everyone. Cheap Shot got a little bit of change here too as well. We got you deal 5% increased damage for each nearby enemy crowd control up to 25%. Obviously that's the same. A nearby staggered boss provides a maximum bonus. So I'm gonna say this now. When it comes to talking to boss talk, when it comes to crowd control with anything, like especially like close quarters combat builds, I really, really, really dislike the whole you deal no damage until the boss is staggered. And then when the boss is staggered, you deal a shit ton of damage. but you do no damage while the boss is not staggered. Stuff like this kind of just emphasizes that point. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, right? I mean, I guess it helps the node, right? I guess, but it kind of just exaggerates a problem we already have, where it's just like especially on the rogue right now, where a lot of our buffs and stuff comes from things being crowd control. If you daze, if you stun, if you freeze, if you do such and such, right? Like that makes killing things, like killing bosses on the road, just really annoying. Because we either, pretty much gimp the boss during a stagger stage, or we do no damage. So I guess don't like little stuff like this, because it just emphasizes that thing that kind of needs to go away or change, in my opinion. But I mean, we'll take it. I mean, it's free damage, I guess, during stagger, I guess. This is interesting. Lucky hit direct damage to a vulnerable enemy has up to a 45% chance to increase your damage by 1% for 25 seconds. Up to 50%, which is actually quite neat. But at 50 stacks, this bonus resets and you execute all nearby non-boss enemies. So I'm struggling to figure out what this means exactly, because you can interpret this many different ways. Execute usually means injured enemies. Like when you see execute, you're executing enemies that are injured. So every time you see this, it's always tied to injured, but you don't see the word injured in here anywhere. The execute is generally injured. So I don't know if this is a typo or whatnot, or are we able to actually execute full health enemies at 50 stacks? Like that would be kind of, that's insane. Also, all nearby non-boss enemies, like are we also including elites in that? It's like if we can execute a full HP elite at 50 stacks, that's just insane. I don't think it works that way. I don't think, because execute only really works on trash. It doesn't work on, at least it is trash only when they're injured, right? So I think there's just some additional wording that just wasn't included in here that makes us think that we're gonna literally just be like doing no damage at all until we get 50 stacks, and then all of a sudden just executing the entire area with like 7 elites and trash around. Ain't no way that that's intended, or that's the idea or the intended play of this, in my opinion. I don't think that that's what that is. I could be wrong, but I think they're missing text here. Otherwise, if it reads the way it does, this is probably like the strongest legendary node in the game by far. Like by far. Like it basically becomes crushing blow almost, in a sense, but better. Crushing blow from like D3 or D3 Reaper of Souls beta or whatever. Mouse Hope, yeah, exactly. You said, you said why not? Because think about this, Killamon. Think about doing like a high pit, right? And you're attacking like you're attacking 3 or 4 elites and trash, and you're doing 0 damage because you're doing like really, really high, so you're doing no damage, and then all of a sudden you hit 50 stacks, right? And when it resets, the entire area just dies, almost near full health, but it just all dies. Like I don't think that that's the intended way of doing it, where you're doing no damage and then all of a sudden you gimp the entire area. Kind of how Victimize works as not. But this would be stronger than this would be stronger than the current Victimize, because there's no cap. You see, execute all nearby enemies. Imagine executing all nearby enemies in like a pit 180. Like it doesn't matter the level of pit that you do, because you can legit execute them at will at 50 stacks. You see what I'm saying? Now, granted, don't get me wrong, you'll never kill the boss. Like it'll take you about like till Christmas to kill the boss on like a pit 200, but at least you'll get there in like 4 minutes, right? You'll get there in 4 minutes, and then you'll be wailing at the boss, you know, until you're like 70 years old or whatever. So, but you get what I'm saying. It's just you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that that's the intended thing that they're trying to do. I don't think it works on elites. Because execute doesn't. Execute means injured usually, but they don't have the wording in here. I think this is just very misleading, right? Because it cannot work the way it sounds. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. I just don't. 50% max for boss is pretty good too. Yeah, but you gotta remember though, like you have to stack that damage though. So like once you get 50 stacks, it resets and you execute nothing on the boss besides maybe some minions, right? You have to stack all that damage again. And you have a 45% chance to increase your damage by 1%. So the reality, believe it or not, this is actually better on bosses. The previous value was actually better on bosses. Because there is no lucky hit chance, and it's just as long as they're vulnerable, it's one stack every time you attack. Whereas here you have a chance to do that, and it stacks to 50. And then it resets. But if this wasn't a lucky hit, if this worked the same way as this, then it will be the same exact damage value for the most part. But because this is lucky hit, unless you have a 100% chance to increase your damage by 1, then this is actually a little weaker than this on the boss. But like I said, I mean, it's still good. I mean, you still will take it. Like, don't get me wrong, you're still gonna take this legendary no. Ain't no way you're not gonna take it. But realistically speaking, I don't think this is happening the way it's worded. Zario, what's up, man? You're on YouTube. What's going on, man? Feels like it should not reset on boss. I mean, it'd be nice if it didn't reset on boss. I would like for it not to. Maybe who knows? They should change it to not reset if it doesn't kill anything. People are just gonna grab the support barb to bring the whole floor to one area and then pop. Yeah, I think that's what Zarya was saying on YouTube. Meta would be 4-man party, 1 rogue with that, and 3 barbs to kill the boss. Yeah, pretty much. So dude, what if I told you I may have found an S tier twisting blaze build? I mean, you mean for like their current season, or you need to tell Woody immediately exactly? He said 120. What's your top end though? And I hate asking because I really hate the pushing aspect of things, but unfortunately that's how we compare builds nowadays. So what's the top end? I think when we were discussing Twisting Blades per se, we're thinking A tier now, right now. Like, so a little higher than where we had it. But I don't think it cracks S tier. Top end is 134 as high as you push. Do you have a video or anything? Like a video or like a screenshot or anything of any sort? I don't think anyone has done a 134 on Twisting Blaze yet. Like, that would be like great content. Like, you can get some crazy views on YouTube or something like that because people would love that. Anyways, yeah. So we'll kind of see how this works. I'm skeptical, really skeptical about this. I'll still take it regardless of what it ends up being, but I'm skeptical about it. So were the clear winners were the top 3 classes for end games? Probably not. It's hard to say. I mean, keep in mind it's PTR. Whatever happens in PTR is going to change again on live for season 5. So I typically try not to do those kind of tier lists for for a public test realm per se, because nothing that goes on nothing that happens on a public test realm is quote unquote safe. See, no witness is now capped at a maximum damage bonus of 35. This is to compensate for the increased sources of ultimate skill damage added to the Rogue Paragon board this season. Okay. Lorena's Instinct is now capped at a maximum of 35%. A maximum damage bonus of 35%. Okay. So I understand why for this, because they said this, right? Why the hell is this capped? Can someone explain to me why this is capped? We have no core damage tempers. We can only get core damage on Cunning Stratagem board. Why is there a need for a cap? Unless they've changed some nodes or give us higher percentage value of this or what? The pity cap, is that what it is? It's like, oh, don't worry, you're not gonna hit that damage bonus anyway, but you know, just in case you try somehow or think you can, here's a cap. The only thing it requires is the Andes as well as Ethereals. To be honest with you, anything, so here's the thing, anything Andes related is going to always be better on Puncture. Like, legit anything Andes related. Like, considerably better on Puncture. Heartseeker's okay. Obviously no Puncture, but Heartseeker's okay on that. But like, Twisting Blaze just does not have the lucky hit to really maximize Andes like that. It just doesn't. Like, if Twisting Blaze lucky hit wasn't murdered to the ground, then you might have a point. But and then of course Tyrio's might proc is like next to 0 damage. He's already using Puncture with some Twisting Blaze in there. It's probably combo points Twisting Blaze, and if that's the case, then he's probably using Puncture more often than Twisting Blaze there, right? It's Inner Sight, really? And you're actually proccing Andes enough for it to be worthwhile? I mean, okay. Well, you did say you did do the 134. If you don't mind making the video so we can watch, I would actually like to see it. Like, for real, for real. I think people would love an Inner Sight Twisting Blades Andy setup. So, I mean, if you can give us a recording, show us what you're doing. Can you do it to on Discord when you're done? You can probably just post it on you can just post it here. I'm allowing links again for now, unless Twitch just meshes me again. The new unique Dark Child chest, infinite grouping mod sounds OP. So Zario, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not a believer in that chest yet. I remember when everyone was talking about Scoundrel's Leather being like OP. Because of all the traps you can, cast and death traps everywhere and stuff. And we know how that turned out with some hidden ICDs. I'm kind of expecting the same thing here in some way, where like they're gonna cap the power with some internal cooldowns or whatever, and we're gonna be sad. I hope that's not the case. I hope that isn't the case, but knowing Blizzard, I almost think that chest might be too good to be true. It might be too good to be true, man. I want to be 100% wrong. I really, really do. But I don't know, man. All right, where are we at now? So yeah, Lorena's instinct. What I say? Does anyone know why this would be capped? Why would it be capped at 35%? Does anyone have any idea? Seriously, did they say they were adding more core damage anywhere? Like, are we getting core damage tempers or like, did I miss something on like the campfire stream or anything or what? Dark Shroud's only being able to be removed every 1.5 seconds just perm before 5-6 OP. Oh yeah, we were talking about that earlier. It's just, yeah, dude, that's just ridiculous. That's incredibly OP. It actually hurts my my Shank Rogue build, man. It hurts my Shank Rogue because I was running volatile shadows on my Shank Rogue, and I was like in there losing a bunch of shadows all the time because I'm like getting hit a lot. And so I was using that to help proc vulnerable with the shadow imbuement, like blended shadow imbuement or whatever, to proc my vulnerable for that setup. And I was getting shadows everywhere. I was getting shadows, explosion there. I mean, obviously it wasn't doing a lot of damage, but it was super cool looking. And now with that one, every 1.5 seconds that you can lose a shadow, it actually kills that. It actually kills that aspect that I found was so much fun, man. I was super sad. I'm happy to see that in the sense of like, I'm just happy to see that, but like, it's great that we are tankier for sure, yeah. But like, man, I was so having so much fun with that aspect, man. I really was. So rip volatile shadows on my Shank Rogue. I guess we'll play it, till the season's out. So I can have my fun that way. Did I read the Shadow Clone buff fix? I don't think I did. Oh, I think I might have, but I forgot what it was. But yeah, dude, I don't even know what the hell this is, man. Like, don't know what that is. We'll go on. Cola Rare Node, execute chance change to ultimate damage. Cool. Magic Nodes in this cluster that gave execute chance now give ultimate damage. Also cool. Ruin, instead of damage to healthy, change to ultimate damage. Okay, cool. Magic Nodes, same ordeal. These are good changes for this or for no witness stuff, but we'll have to see how that actually pans out later, of course. I'm not going to talk about the Sork stuff. So that was pretty much all the Rogue stuff. Let's go to bug fixes, I guess. Fix an issue where methodical dash didn't reduce the cooldown of dash by the full intended amount. Okay. Fix an issue where puncture could generate multiple combo points when additional resource generation was high. Basically, if you had a lot of strength or that whatchamacallit, yeah. That was a thing. Fix an issue with rapid fire use with Scoundrel's Kiss and the repeating aspect behave inconsistently. Did it not fix that this current patch? Or are they making additional adjustments with that? Oh, there it is, Zari. Okay, this is what you're talking about. Yeah, I read this. Fix the issue where Shadow Clone didn't deal damage with rapid fire. It's still not gonna deal damage. Oh man. Okay. Fix an issue where Shadow Clone still won't do damage with rapid fire. Should be the correct wording for this. I should say fix an issue where Shadow Clone didn't do damage. That's funny. That's funny. What do I think of the dagger they showed on the live stream? Oh, that was it the totem dagger? Can you give me a timestamp of that real quick if you don't mind? Like the campfire stream, give me a timestamp so I can go to that real quick. Because they don't mention it in the patch notes for whatever strange reason. They don't show the dagger in the patch notes for whatever reason that is. Why is that actually? Fix an issue. Wait a minute. So we got fix an issue where rapid fire did not have a range limit when used with Scoundrel's Kiss. Are some of these fixes actually fixes that already happened that they just moved up the list, I guess? Seems like fix an issue with Scoundrel's Letters would properly function when a core skill hit a target that wasn't explicitly aimed at, really? Oh, okay. I know what that bug is. Okay. Okay. Fix an issue where force arrows made targets vulnerable vulnerable after 2 hits instead of 3. They could have left that alone. They totally could have left that alone. I don't think anyone probably realized that nor cared. They totally could have left that alone. For sure. Fix an issue where caltraps didn't trigger movement speed from the aspect of explosive verb. Such a shame. Fix an issue where improved penetrating shot didn't display its duration on the skill icon on your action bar. Cool. And of course, fix the issue where Victimize was double dipping its damage multiplier. It's an interesting way to word that, but okay. A compensatory buff to Victimize was made here as eventually as mentioned above. Yeah, so that I guess the roughly 50%. We'll see how that 50% is applied, but like where they apply the 50%, like the base, they just give it, or they just but we'll see. So Victimize was bug all the time. Yeah, I talk about it almost well, at least I talk about it almost every stream when people ask about it. Yeah. But Heartseeker and Pinshot Victimize won't die. They'll be a little weaker, but they won't die. Could I explain the Victimize fix? There were several multipliers. There were some multipliers, legendary nodes, and glyphs that were double dipping with Victimize, meaning the multipliers are being calculated twice as separate multipliers, increasing the damage. And also some passes were also doing it too as well, which increase our damage quite a bit more than what we should have been doing when all of the effects are happening. Heartseeker needs crits, yes. Why some items need crit chance? Well, because you still crit, and your initial crit damage is 50%. Like your initial 50% is multiplicative. Now, past that point, the stat crit damage is additive in terms of like as a stat itself, but your 50% is still multiplicative. And so Victimize is based off of your damage. So if you crit, then your Victimize procs, then your Victimize proc gets the crit damage that you crit, basically. Or it gets it takes into account the damage number that was the crit. Does that make sense? So even though that Victimize doesn't crit itself, when you crit and the Victimize proc on the crit, it gets that damage. So, but don't worry though. Like Heartseeker won't die. It will still actually be a pretty damn good build. But like the order, like it will still probably be like a top 4 build. in the hierarchy, but like I guess the hierarchies will probably move around. I see Andy's as like probably like pretty much the undisputed top at this point, going into season 5. Andy's rapid fire will be probably right underneath that, but pretty close. I see Heartseeker kind of being like right below that, but pretty close. We're talking about like high pit stuff or whatever, I guess, if that's the metric. So the top builds will still be the top builds going into season 5. Flurry will not be a top build, but it will be an extremely fast speed farmer and a very good leveling build, probably one of the best leveling builds, considering that you can teleport everywhere. But Flurry as a damage dealer, as a damage like skill or whatever, I mean, it will definitely be out of F tier. But I don't see anything higher than maybe a C plus, maybe B tier at the most if you're doing a Flurry based build with the new stuff. I just don't think it's enough. However, I do see people using Flurry as a utility skill to be able to, like, you know, teleport around the place or whatever. So you just throw Flurry on your bar and you can pretty much just zoom across the map. So I see that happening and quite a few setups. But, you know, Flurry, the whole Flurry S tier thing, not happening. Not happening. But I do like the stacking effect. And I do like the teleport stuff. So I do like what they're doing with Flurry. The damage is just not there yet still. Not yet. Give me 1 second, guys. The YouTube video is at 45:23. Okay, I'm about to pull the YouTube video up real quick. Sorry, give me 1 sec. You said 45:23. And that's Barb. It's a little further, right? Okay. A little further. Oh, whoops, that was it. Okay, so they didn't actually put this in the patch notes or whatever it is. Just so is it good or bad news for Heartseeker build? I mean, Heartseeker will still be strong. Like if you like Heartseeker, you can still play it next season and like you'll still do well. It just won't be as well as it was before, but you'll still do well. You'll actually like the consistency. Like the consistency is gonna feel better to play in general, but the top end damage is gonna come down a little bit. But your min and max are no longer like sporadic where you deal no damage or you deal a shit ton of damage. It's like now they, you know, but the double dipping gone, we kind of have a pretty decent medium of like your damage, like how you're doing damage in the rift, and then they're buffing Victimize so that median damage is actually going a little higher. So it's gonna actually feel better to play than it currently does. Just at the top end, you will notice a decrease. All right, so yeah, this is the dagger that is not on the in the patch notes, which for whatever strange reason, I don't know why. Why was this not in the patch notes? But anyways, yeah. So this is a very interesting dagger because um okay, you may only have 2 shade totems at a time. This damage counts as a trap skill. Oh, wait a minute. I read this. I didn't read this part. Any damage it takes is replicated onto surrounding enemies at 30% effectiveness. So the way that he talks about it is not what the unique says. I'm glad I read the unique, but okay, replicates any of the damage it takes to all nearby enemies. Okay, that's not so. The way that he said it makes people believe that you're getting all your damage replicated to anything that hits the totem. Is that 30% effectiveness? That's not worth, in my opinion, unless this is like an older dagger and like these values are like super low or something. This is not worth. At least for now. I just I don't know. Said, yeah, 30% though. So you're looking at 60%. Yeah, see, Zario agrees. Zario agrees with that. This is a really it's sad because this is a really cool item. Like this is a really cool unique, right? Like, this is a really cool design unique, in my opinion. This is really cool. But that 30% effectiveness really hurts because the stats are still kind of awful. Like the stats are pretty awful. Like, I mean, it's just like maybe if the stats were a little different and gave us some chunkier stuff or some like, you know, whatever's, then sure. But like, it's just like the monk bell in PoE too. D3 has a belt like that too, I think, but in like a different way. But yeah, I guess you can say that. Any damage, which means enemies damage also. You know, that actually would be kind of cool. What if it was the enemy's damage as well? Well, actually, I don't know because the enemy's well, how much can the damage can the enemy? How much damage does the enemy does? Like maybe if it's like a corpse bow, like old school corpse bow, like season 1 corpse bows or whatever. Like if that hit it, you know, we would just blow up the universe at that point, right? Like season 1 corpse bows. Come on now. Like the universe explodes if it hits that totem, man. Everything dies. Outside of that, though, I don't see it. I don't see it. But not. I was excited about this until because I was listening to it on the Campfire stream. I wasn't because I had it on my second monitor while I was doing some work. So I was listening to it and I'm just like, hey, it actually sounds pretty cool. Any of my damage is getting replicated in the totems? That actually sounds powerful. And then it says surrounding enemies at 30% effectiveness. If I don't know. If they increase that 30% to 50%, like you might have a case for it. Might. And that's like being generous. Because then you can have at least 2 totems and you can if you can hit them both and overlap, that's 100%. That's neat, but uh I don't know, Mouse Hope. I honestly don't know. That's a good question. How possible is it that they're missing some pieces for other things they're adding that might aid the new uniques? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's things that are not in the patch notes and things that are not in the campfire stream that we haven't seen that we'll see in the PTR. So I'm sure we'll see some more things, some more hopefully interesting things. But this is so sad though. This is such a cool effect, man. I'm super saddened by this. Like I would love to use this on like my Blaze Shift or my Shank Rogue. Like this would actually be really, really cool for that. And of course some other stuff too, but like I'm just saying, like I don't know. Maybe they'll buff it like after PTR when they realize that people aren't really using it. Sorry. Right, I know, right? Whoever's designing the I agree. I am Sarah with the
Yo,
raid.
dark side. We just got raided, son. You know how we do.
What is
Drop my new beat for these new viewers. Sheezy out.
What is going on, Sarah?
Maxroll rated my stream with 87 views.
Totally understood. You have a good one, Sarah. Hope all is well. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna use it in a PTR. Like I'm gonna use it, and maybe hope something that I won't say hope something's broken with it. I really don't want any more bug stuff on rogues where, you know, maybe they add a 0 to that 30, so it's 300% effectiveness, and we're all running around with like doing totems and trying to hit it for our meta builds or whatever. That's probably not too far out of the realm of what actually might happen. But I'm so tired of having builds be based around bugs. I really, really, really am. So, but yeah. Still looking forward to trying it, but man, I'm saddened after reading the 30% effectiveness part of it. Best change of patches: decoy trap damage increased by 8%. Like who had Blizzard's looking at decoy totem and determining that 8% more damage is what Rogue needs. You know what's funny though, Zario? Like that shadow decoy or whatever actually one-shots things in like Helltide and like Nightmare Dungeons. So you can literally just run past and just like throw down a trap or whatever and then run. And then everything just explodes. And then in that content. Now past that point, obviously I mean everything dies anyways in that content, but I think it really is kind of cool to see that. But I mean, 8% isn't going to change that. It's just, it's still going to be the same thing. But it's hilarious that it's actually kind of cool to just like drop a trap and run, and then like everything just gets pulled behind you or whatever, and it blows up, and you're on to the next. Still not like. I mean, still not worth it for other content for sure, but yeah, like who is spending time looking at the damage? That is a good point though. That's fair. Hey, Doc's like, can team members hit that totem too? By the way, that's actually I don't know. It says any damage it takes, so I would assume maybe group. The same people that bluff, flay, and shatter, yes. Of course. Yeah. Now I guess that actually would be pretty cool to like, I think Barbs will like you.